Chapter 508. Lu Ming's cultivation started to increase rapidly after reaching the second layer Martial King realm. The amount of spiritual crystals needed to increase one's cultivation had increased significantly. When Lu Ming had refined 50,000 spiritual crystals, Lu Ming's cultivation had only increased from the early second layer Martial King realm to the mid-second layer Martial King realm. 50,000 spiritual crystals. When he was at the first layer Martial King realm, he only needed 30,000 spiritual crystals to increase his cultivation level. When he reached the second layer Martial King realm, it increased to 50,000 spiritual crystals. Lu Ming did not stop and continued to take out more spiritual crystals. Increase at a crazy rate. In less than a day, Lu Ming had refined all 180,000 spiritual crystals. Lu Ming's cultivation had also increased to the peak of the second layer Martial King realm. If he wanted to reach the third layer Martial King realm, he would need more resources. In the next moment, Lu Ming walked out of the Temple of Paragon and looked to the west. Tianxian Branch Palace. Sheng family, Lu Ming, am coming. Whoosh! With a flash of light, Lu Ming turned into a beam of light and rushed toward the Tianxian Branch Palace. Not long after, he passed by the place where he had been ambushed by the Heavenly Corpse sect. At this moment, there were no other traces of the ambush except for some blood on the ground. The corpses of the Heavenly Corpse sect must have been taken away by the Heavenly Corpse sect. Lu Ming paused for a moment before he turned into a beam of light and continued to head toward the Tianxian Branch Palace. Lu Ming's speed was much faster since he was traveling alone. The journey that would have taken him half a month was completed in 7 days by Lu Ming. An ancient city appeared in front of him. The city was completely black, and there were marks of swords and sabers on it. It was filled with an ancient aura as if it had traveled through time and space from the ancient era. The area of this city was not large. Compared to the Myriad Star City, it was much smaller. However, the reputation of this city was many times greater than that of the Myriad Star City. This was because the city was called Tianxian City. This Tianxian City was the branch palace of the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace in the Tianxian domain. Legend had it that Tianxian City had existed for countless years. It had been preserved from the primordial era and had existed for over 1 million years. This city had been built by human powerhouses in the ancient times. The entire city was built on a super-large spiritual I and a Tao I. Spiritual I could provide an endless supply of heaven and earth spiritual qi. Therefore, the spiritual qi in Tianxian City was the densest in the Tianxian domain. The Tao I contained the great Tao of heaven and earth. It was said that those who cultivated in Tianxian City would be able to comprehend force and intent faster than those who cultivated in other places. Growing up in Tianxian City, one could say that he was blessed by the heavens. Therefore, there were no ordinary people in Tianxian City. There were only people from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. If people outside the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace wanted to enter, they would have to pay a huge price. Within 1,000 miles around Tianxian City, there were 8 huge satellite cities. They surrounded Tianxian City like stars surrounding the moon, continuously providing resources to Tianxian City. Lu Ming watched for a while before flying towards Tianxian City. When Lu Ming was within 10 miles of Tianxian City, he suddenly felt a strong pressure pressing down on his body. Lu Ming could not help but land on the ground. Indeed, there is an inscription array in Tianxian City that restricts people from flying. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He was already clear about this point. The entire Tianxian City had been inscribed with a powerful inscription array by ancient powerhouses. It was impenetrable and hard for outsiders to break through. At the same time, There was a flight restriction array, not to mention a martial ancestor. Even a martial king would find it hard to fly. Lu Ming had heard that if one wanted to fly in Tianxian City, one would have to be at least a peak king. Lu Ming walked towards Tianxian City on foot. The gates of Tianxian City were open, and there were people coming in and out occasionally. There was a group of soldiers guarding the entrance. Every soldier was emitting a powerful aura. So strong. There are 15 of them, and 5 of them are low-tier kings. The other 10 are all third-layer martial kings. When Lu Ming saw the group of soldiers at the gates, his heart skipped a beat. He was extremely shocked. This was just a group of soldiers guarding the gates, and yet they were already so terrifying. He wondered how many powerhouses were in Tianxian City. Without a doubt, there were as many powerhouses as there were clouds. 80% of the powerhouses of the Tianxian region's Emperor Heaven Divine Palace were here. Lu Ming walked towards the gates with large strides. "Stop right there. Who are you?" "Only disciples of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace can enter this place. If you are not a member of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy." A soldier in metal armor stared at Lu Ming. His eyes were like 2 sharp swords stabbing into Lu Ming's body. "I am Lu Ming, a divine guard of the Eastern Branch Palace. This is my divine guard token." Lu Ming took out his divine guard token and handed it to the soldier. "Divine guard of the Eastern Branch Palace?" The soldier in metal armor was a little puzzled. He took the token and scanned it with his mind. Then his eyes calmed down. "You are indeed a divine guard of the Eastern Branch Palace. Furthermore, you are the newest Eastern Sky Divine Guard. Could it be that you are sent from the East as reinforcements? Why are you the only one here?" The soldier in metal armor returned the divine guard token to Lu Ming as he muttered doubtfully. "Can I enter the city now?" Lu Ming asked. "Since you are a divine guard, you can enter the city." The soldier in metal armor revealed a smile. Just as Lu Ming was about to enter the city, a discordant voice rang out at this moment. "Little bastard, it's you? You are not dead yet." A gloomy voice rang out. Lu Ming was stunned and looked towards the city gates. A few figures walked out from the city gates. One of them stared at Lu Ming with a gloomy face. "Sheng Kong." Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He did not expect to meet Sheng Kong the moment he arrived. There were 2 other young men beside Sheng Kong that Lu Ming had never seen before. "Sheng Kong, is he the brat from the East that you were talking about?" A tall young man looked coldly at Lu Ming. "That's right, it's him." Sheng Kong's eyes flashed with killing intent as he looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to be so lucky." "Sheng Kong, what do you mean by that? Did you know that I would be in danger?" Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he asked, "Could it be that the Sheng family had informed the Heavenly Corpse sect and betrayed them? What's so strange about that? We received the news 2 days ago that the first batch of reinforcements sent by the Eastern Sub-Palace had been ambushed by the Heavenly Corpse sect on the way. They were completely annihilated, and none of them managed to escape. You were among the first batch of reinforcements, right?" Sheng Kong sneered. "That's right." Lu Ming said, "Lu Ming, how dare you betray the Heavenly Divine Palace and secretly contact the Heavenly Corpse sect? Dozens of Heavenly Divine Guards from the Heavenly Divine Palace were killed. You really deserve to die. Today, I will cripple you as a warning to others." Sheng Kong suddenly shouted, "Sheng Kong, what nonsense are you talking about?" Lu Ming said coldly with a calm expression, "Nonsense? Lu Ming, how did the Heavenly Corpse sect know about your whereabouts? If someone did not collude with the Heavenly Corpse sect, how could this have happened? Moreover, The first batch of reinforcements was completely annihilated. There were even 3 kings in the group. But what is your cultivation base? Yet you survived. If you are not a traitor, who else can you be? Chapter 5:09. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Lu Ming burst into laughter. Lu Ming, what are you laughing at? Sheng Kong yelled. Sheng Kong, I'm laughing at you. Is there something wrong with your head? Am I a traitor just because I'm alive? What kind of twisted logic is that? Will you only feel better after we've all died in battle? I'm suspecting that you're the traitor who colluded with the Heavenly Corpse sect to set us up. Lu Ming yelled. Nonsense! You're slandering me. Sheng Kong yelled. At that moment, some people at the city gate were attracted by the two's voices and gathered around curiously. The guards clearly recognized the identities of Sheng Kong and the others, but they didn't interfere. Slandering me? Humph! If I remember correctly, you returned to the central region after I beat you up in the Eastern Branch Palace. Not long after that, you sent a message to the Eastern region asking me to come to the central region to provide support. Now, I suspect that all of this is a trap set up by your Saint clan. You leaked the news to the Heavenly Corpse sect with the purpose of killing me, right? Lu Ming bellowed. His aura was like a dragon, pressing hard on Sheng Kong. You're slandering me. Sheng Kong was stunned by Lu Ming's aura and was momentarily stunned. He was almost speechless. How dare you slander the Sheng clan? You're courting death. Sheng Kong, step aside and let me cripple him. The tall young man stepped forward. His eyes were like lightning as he looked at Lu Ming coldly. A powerful aura burst out from the tall young man's body. It was terrifying. Peak 3rd layer Martial King realm. The tall young man's cultivation had reached the peak 3rd layer Martial King realm. Furthermore, he was no ordinary peak 3rd layer Martial King realm cultivator. He was definitely a genius among the Martial Kings. Who's that kid? I've never seen him before. How dare he offend the Sheng clan? I vaguely heard it just now. It seems to be coming from the Eastern Branch Palace. What? How dare someone from the Eastern Branch Palace offend the Sheng clan? They're courting death. Based on what that kid said, it seems like Holy Kong suffered a loss at his hands in the Eastern Branch Palace. I don't think that kid is easy to deal with. Easy to deal with? So what if he defeated Sheng Kong? Sheng Kong is merely one of the many direct descendants of the Sheng family. Sheng Feng is much stronger than him. On the side, the onlookers were whispering to each other. Brat, are you going to kneel down and cripple yourself, or do you want me to do it? If I do it, you'll have to suffer. Sheng Feng was tall, half a head taller than Lu Ming. His face was cold and arrogant as he looked down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming curled his lips. The members of the Sheng family were probably used to being overlords in the Tianxian region. Every single one of them was the same. I advise you to scram. You probably don't know how badly Sheng Kong was beaten up by me in the East. Be careful that you don't end up like him. Lu Ming glanced at Sheng Feng and said, Arrogant, you're courting death. Sheng Feng shouted. Bang! Sheng Feng took a step forward like a giant beast, causing the earth to rumble. Then he struck out with his palm. Kneel. The spiritual chi of the heavens and earth gathered and formed a palm print that slammed down on Lu Ming's head. Even a peak LV3 Martial King expert would not dare to take this attack head-on. Buzz! Lu Ming's hand flashed, and a long spear appeared. Then he pulled it out. Boom! The long spear struck the palm print, causing it to crumble instantly. You're the one who should kneel. Lu Ming stepped forward, and the long spear in his hand became 10 meters long and as thick as a water tank. He then slammed it down on Sheng Feng's head. Sheng Feng's face changed. Apparently, he did not expect Lu Ming to destroy his palm print so easily. So, you're quite capable. However, this is not enough to defeat me. Boom! Sheng Feng shouted coldly. A 10-meter-tall giant bear appeared above his head. The giant bear was covered in scales and emitted a fierce aura. At the same time, 6 silver chakras shone on the giant bear's body. In the next moment, the giant bear rushed into Sheng Feng's body, causing his burly body to swell. Earth-shattering palm. Sheng Feng jumped up and slammed his palm down on Lu Ming. True Dragon Strike. Lu Ming thrust his spear upward, and a tricolor true dragon flew out with an imposing aura. Now that Lu Ming's wind intent had formed a wind intent rune, the 3 skills of the dragon god had become even more powerful. Boom! The tricolor true dragon broke through Sheng Feng's attack and continued to slam into Sheng Feng's body. Sheng Feng screamed as his body was sent flying like a cannonball. He flew 100 meters into the air and then fell freely under the effect of the Forbidden Flight array. Catch me! Hurry up and catch me! Sheng Feng screamed in fright in the air. Sheng Kong and another young man wanted to catch Sheng Feng. However, Lu Ming used his long spear to block the 2 of them. Go away! The other young man yelled but did not dare to make a move. His cultivation was only at the early 3rd level of the Martial King realm, far weaker than Sheng Feng. He was obviously no match for Lu Ming. As for Sheng Kong, his face was pale and filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had become stronger again. He was definitely not this strong a few months ago when he was in the Eastern Branch Palace. Even Sheng Feng, who was at the peak of the 3rd level of the Martial King realm, could not fight back against Lu Ming. How could this be? Bang! With this delay, sacred wind crashed into the ground. The ground at the entrance of the city was the same as the city walls of Tianxian City. They were both left behind from the ancient era and were extremely hard. They were a few hundred times harder than steel. Sheng Feng's face hit the ground heavily and made a teeth-numbing sound. Blood splattered everywhere, and the crowd could see 7 or 8 teeth in the blood. Ah, little bastard, I'm going to kill you. Sheng Feng struggled to get up and yelled crazily. He was a genius at the peak of the 3rd level of the Martial King realm, but he was severely injured from the fall. It was a great humiliation. From today onward, no matter how brilliant his achievements were, it would be a stain on his record that he would never be able to get rid of. The anger in his heart was enough to set the 9 heavens ablaze. However, what greeted him was a long spear. Bang! A long spear struck one side of his face, and his body flew out. The other side of his face crashed heavily onto the ground. Blood splattered everywhere as teeth flew. Sheng Feng was dumbfounded. The others were dumbfounded too. Lu Ming was ruthless. He attacked before Sheng Feng could finish his sentence. This time, Sheng Feng was lying on the ground, twitching continuously. He could not get up at all. Sheng Kong and the other young man from the Sheng clan were covered in cold sweat. Lu Ming reached out and sucked Sheng Feng's storage ring into his hand, keeping it without any reservation. He was currently in need of resources. How could he miss out on such a great opportunity? You two hand over 50,000 spiritual crystals each, and I'll let you go. Hurry up, take the spiritual crystals. Chapter 5:10. When his voice rang out, the surrounding onlookers were stunned. They looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. Where did this guy come from? How audacious! Not only did he severely injure Sheng Feng and snatch his storage ring, but he also wanted Sheng Kong and Sheng Feng to hand over 50,000 spiritual crystals each. This was a blatant robbery. The crowd was in a mess. Sheng Kong and Sheng Kong were even more astonished. They stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. What did you say? What did you say? The other young man from the Sheng family suspected that he had heard wrongly. How dare someone do this to them in Tianxian City? Even the elites of the Mu family would not dare to do so. I don't want to repeat myself. Within 3 breaths, hand over 50,000 spiritual crystals each. 1. Lu Ming started counting. You don't go overboard. This is Tianxian City, not the East Branch Palace. You are courting death. Shen Kong yelled crazily. 2. Lu Ming did not stop and started counting to 2. Damn it! Damn it! Hurry up and take this guy down. Shen Kong roared at the armored soldiers. However, the armored soldiers were indifferent. They were under the jurisdiction of the Tianxian Branch Palace and were only responsible for guarding the city gate. As for the personal grudges of the other Emperor Sky Divine Guards, they would not interfere. 3. At this moment, Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. Retreat! Shen Kong and the other young man from the Sheng family retreated as fast as lightning. However, even though they were fast, Lu Ming was faster. Whoosh! Lu Ming pulled out the long spear in his hand. Bam! Bam! The shaft of the long spear hit Shen Kong and the other young man in the face. The 2 of them screamed and flew far away. Now, it's not about the 50,000 spiritual crystals. Lu Ming strode toward Shen Kong and the other young man in the face. Lu Ming, you deserve to die. You deserve to die. Shen Kong screamed hysterically. He felt that half of his face was no longer his. Audacious! Who dares to hit a member of the Sheng family? You are courting death. At this moment, a roar rang out from within the city gate. Then a figure swept over like a gust of wind. Swoosh! Before the figure arrived, a water sword formed by water currents pierced toward Lu Ming's glabella. The sword of flowing water contained a powerful concept of water. Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt a strong sense of threat from this sword. In an instant, the true essence in his body burst out crazily. The intent realm converged, and he thrust his spear forward. Bam! A crisp sound could be heard. Lu Ming realized that the water sword was tougher than an ordinary level 4 spiritual weapon. At the same time, there was an explosion of vast power. Lu Ming's body shook, and he could not help but retreat. At this moment, a figure appeared beside Shen Kong and Lin Ming. This was a young man in a blue robe. He looked to be about 25 or 26 years old. He was handsome, but there was a trace of arrogance between his eyebrows. The moment this youth appeared, cries of surprise rang out. I didn't expect Sheng Jiang to be so close. That kid's days are over. Sheng Jiang became a king a year ago. But then again, this kid is really bold. He even dared to hit a member of the Sheng family. I heard that he came from the East. I don't think he has heard of the Sheng family. Some people shook their heads. They felt that Lu Ming was doomed. Brother Jiang, you came at the right time. This kid dared to hit us and humiliate our Sheng family. This is unforgivable. Brother Jiang, you have to cripple him for me. When Shen Kong saw Sheng Jiang, he was wild with joy and shouted excitedly. But what answered him was Sheng Jiang's kick. Sheng Jiang's kick landed on Shen Kong's face, leaving him dumbfounded. Trash! You were beaten up so badly by a kid from the East. You are a disgrace to the Sheng family. Sheng Jiang glanced at Shen Kong coldly. Then he looked at Lu Ming and said, However, no matter how trash a member of the Sheng family is, he can't be beaten by an outsider. Kid, since you attacked us, you have to bear the consequences. His eyes were filled with disdain, and he looked superior. Lu Ming curled his lips and sneered. Oh, are you saying that I can't fight back when they attack me? Is there such a logic in this world? Of course you can fight back, but if you fight back, you will have to pay a heavy price. Why? Do you need me to do it myself? Sheng Jiang said indifferently. Nonsense. If you want to fight, then fight, Lu Ming said coldly. Sheng Jiang's face darkened. He said coldly, stubborn. Don't think you can fight me just because you blocked one of my attacks. How naive. Now, I will show you the difference between a king in the lower realm and a king in the lower realm. As he spoke, a powerful aura burst out from Sheng Jiang's body. The aura of the peak fourth layer martial emperor realm and the first layer lesser success stage of water, intent. Following this, Sheng Jiang waved his hand, causing a huge amount of water to appear in the sky. The water turned into swords of water. Kill. As Sheng Jiang waved his hand, at least 100 swords of water shot toward Lu Ming. The swords of water pierced through the sky, resulting in a shocking sonic boom. Lu Ming wore a stern look. He clenched his fist, causing the force of lightning to gather in the sky, forming spears of lightning. Go! Lu Ming waved his hand, causing the spears of lightning to fly forward and collide with the swords of water. Bang! 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 A series of explosions could be heard in the sky, which lasted for over 100 times. This was a clash between two intents. In the end, the swords of water and the spears of lightning disappeared. The spectators opened their eyes wide in astonishment. Lu Ming was able to block Sheng Jiang's attack. How could this be possible? Intense. This Lu Ming has already reached the first layer, lesser, success stage of the thunder intent. His intent is not any weaker than the intent of a lesser success stage king. Impressive, impressive. This way, he won't have any bottlenecks before breaking through to the lesser success stage. I think that in less than 2 years, this Lu Ming will become a lesser success stage king. If one reached the intent stage first, they would be able to break through as long as they accumulated enough energy. However, normal people would need 1 or 2 years to break through even if they continuously refined supreme grade spiritual crystals. This was already very fast. Kid, so your thunder intent has already reached the first layer lesser success stage. No wonder you're so arrogant. However, battle prowess is a combination. Only when all kinds of factors are added together can a powerful battle prowess be formed. You and I are still far from each other. Bang! Sheng Jiang stepped forward. The true yuan on his body seemed to have solidified and was pulsing like blue flames. Slash! A middle-grade, level 5 spiritual weapon battle sword appeared in Sheng Jiang's hand. Boundless true yuan, and the intent of water merged as he slashed out. A sparkling blue sword light that was 100 meters long slashed down at Lu Ming. True Dragon Strike. Chapter 511. A tricolor dragon let out a furious roar and collided with Sheng Jiang's giant blue sword. Bang! Various colors of energy spread out in all directions. Shit! Back off! Some of the spectators with weaker cultivations backed off in fear. When the chi landed on the ground, inscriptions flashed across the ground. Not a single mark was left on the ground. Break! Sheng Jiang let out a roar as his aura grew stronger. The blue sword glow was even more powerful. The tricolor dragon only managed to resist for a brief moment before it was split in half by the sword glow. The sword glow did not stop there as it continued to slash toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming placed his spear in front of him. Dang! The sword glow struck the spear shaft. Lu Ming felt a powerful force surging toward him. His body shuddered violently as he was sent flying backward. After flying for over 100 meters, Lu Ming's feet finally landed on the ground. He then took another 7 steps backward, each step causing the ground to tremble violently. Lesser Success King Realm is indeed powerful. Lu Ming felt his chi and blood surging as he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The difference between the 3rd layer Martial King Realm and the 4th layer Martial King Realm was huge. It was not just a difference of one level, but two. Lu Ming's current cultivation was at the peak of the second layer martial king realm. With his strength, it was not difficult for him to kill a peak third layer martial king realm cultivator. However, there was still a gap between him and a fourth layer martial king realm cultivator. It was not something that could be made up with a mere intent. Little did he know that Sheng Jiang's heart was filled with astonishment. At the same time, a violent, murderous intent was emitted from his body. Lu Ming was only at the peak of the second layer martial king realm, but he was able to block his attacks several times. This was unbelievable, causing him to feel humiliated. It was his first time being blocked by a low-level king realm cultivator. Die! Sheng Jiang let out a roar as a murderous intent burst out from his body. His aura was fully unleashed as he slashed toward Lu Ming. The slash caused the heavens and earth to tremble violently, which combined with Sheng Jiang's sword aura, causing Sheng Jiang's attack to reach its peak. This slash was even more powerful than the previous one. Boom! Lu Ming's body faintly emitted a dragon's roar as he revolved his true essence to the limit. At the same time, the power of his bloodline fused into his body. He also exerted his full strength. Even if he couldn't win, he would still fight to the end. Stop! At this moment, a loud shout was heard, and a white figure rushed over. Before he arrived, a resplendent sword light slashed towards Sheng Jiang. Its power was extremely shocking. Who? Sheng Jiang's expression changed. He had no choice but to change the direction of his sword momentum and blast towards the sword light. When the two sword lights collided, there was a loud explosion. Sword chi spread out in all directions. Sheng Jiang could not help but take 2 steps back. Whoosh! A figure appeared on the scene. He wore a snow-white robe, snow-white pants, and snow-white boots. His entire body was snow-white, and he looked like a divine jade. It's him! Lu Ming's expression changed. He recognized him. Wasn't this person Mu Shiyuan? He had once kindly reminded Lu Ming. When did he come to the Central Region's Sky Profound Branch Palace? Lu Ming was somewhat puzzled. Mu Shiyuan, it's you? When Sheng Jiang saw Mu Shiyuan, his eyes narrowed slightly, and he was somewhat surprised. Sheng Jiang, long time no see. I don't see any improvement in your skills. Mu Shiyuan smiled slightly. Humph, Mu Shiyuan, didn't you go to the Eastern region to train? When did you come back? Also, why did you stop me? Sheng Jiang asked coldly. I think it's none of your business when I come back. Also, Lu Ming is my friend. Of course, I have to intervene. Mu Shiyuan said, This kid is your friend. Does that mean you have to intervene today? Sheng Jiang said with a gloomy face. He was quite wary of Mu Shiyuan. Mu Shiyuan's cultivation was higher than his, and he was a genius disciple of the Mu family. In the Tianxian domain, the Mu family's strength made the Sheng family wary. The Mu family would not give the Sheng family any face. That's right. Since I'm here today, you can't touch a single hair of his. If you want to fight, you can try. Don't blame me for being impolite. Mu Shiyuan said with a smile. Good, very good. Mu Shiyuan, you can protect him now, but can you protect him forever? There's plenty of time later. Let's wait and see. Sheng Jiang laughed out of anger. He then turned around and strode away. Sheng Kong, Sheng Feng, and the others hurriedly followed, disappearing into the city in the blink of an eye. This kid knows Mu Shiyuan. He's lucky to have avoided a disaster. He's lucky to have avoided it once. It's not that easy to avoid offending the Sheng family. Based on my understanding of the Sheng family, they won't let it go so easily. That's right. I wonder what will happen to this kid in the end. Around them, some people started to discuss among themselves and slowly dispersed. Lu Ming, are you all right? At this moment, Mu Shiyuan looked at Lu Ming. "Brother Mu, thank you for saving me." Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, "Ha, you're welcome. Since you're Lan, Er's friend, you're my friend. It's nothing. You don't have to thank me." Mu Shiyuan laughed and was very forthright. "Lan Lu Ming was stunned. "Oh, Lu Ming, it seems like you don't know. I'm Mulan's cousin. Mulan's once asked me to take care of you. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't been of any help to you," Mu Shiyuan said with a smile. Lu Ming suddenly realized that Mu Shiyuan was Mulan's cousin. No wonder he was so kind to Lu Ming from the beginning. "May I know where Senior Mulan's is? I haven't seen Senior Mulan's since I joined the Tian Divine Guards." At this moment, Lu Ming naturally wanted to seize the opportunity to ask. Yan Lan once told him that Mulan's father was a big shot in the Tian Divine Palace. However, Lu Ming had joined the Tian Divine Palace for so long and had yet to see Mulan's. Logically speaking, Mulan's should have taken the initiative to look for him when she knew that he had joined the Tian Divine Guards. "Lu Ming, it's not easy to see Mulan's." Mu Shiyuan sighed. "Why?" Lu Ming quickly asked. "Lu Ming, it seems like there are many things that you don't know. Now, let me explain it to you. First of all, Mulan's father is the current family head of the Mu family and also the palace master of the Tianxian branch palace." Mu Shiyuan threw out a piece of important news. "What? Senior Mulan's father is the palace master of the Tianxian branch palace?" Lu Ming was taken aback. He was extremely surprised. Yan Lan said that Mulan's father was a big shot in the Tian Divine Palace. He didn't expect him to be the #1 person in the Tianxian region branch palace, the palace master of the Tianxian branch palace. This was indeed out of Lu Ming's expectations. Then Mu Shiyuan explained in detail. Although the Mu family was known as one of the 2 major families in the Tianxian region, the Mu family had only risen for 100 years after all. Their foundation couldn't be compared to the Sheng family. If the Mu family wanted to continue to be strong and continue to be strong, they had to borrow the strength of the Sheng family. How could they borrow the strength of the Sheng family? Chapter 5:12. Mulan's had been betrothed to an elite from the Sheng family since she was young. However, Mulan's didn't seem to like such an arrangement. In her opinion, it was just an exchange of interests, even if the person she was betrothed to was extremely outstanding. Therefore, Mulan's had left the Tianxian branch palace very early on and ran to the Mystic Essence Sword sect. However, some time ago, because of Lu Ming, she sent a message to her father and agreed to return to the Emperor Sky Divine Palace in exchange for an invitation letter from Lu Ming. This matter was later found out by the elite from the Sheng family, so he sent people to the Eastern Branch Palace. That was how the conflict between Lu Ming and the Sheng family happened. After hearing this, Lu Ming was enlightened. Combined with what Yan Lan had told him back then, everything was clear to him now. "Sai, why did Senior Sister Mulan's do this? For an invitation letter of mine, she actually—" Lu Ming sighed. "Lu Ming, you don't have to blame yourself. In fact, that girl Mulan's also knows that she can't avoid it. When the time comes, her father will definitely send people to bring her back. In that case, she might as well take the initiative to get an invitation letter for you." Mu Shiyuan said. However, Lu Ming still couldn't let it go. He frowned and said, "What do you want me to do? How can I help Senior Sister Mulan's?" "It's very difficult to help her." Mu Shiyuan sighed. "Tell me, as long as I can do it, I will do my best." Lu Ming said, "It's very simple. As long as you defeat the elite from the Sheng family who is betrothed to Mulan's and prove that your talent is stronger than his, things will naturally take a turn for the better." Mu Shiyuan said. "As long as I defeat the other party," Lu Ming said. He was shocked. "Lu Ming, It's very difficult to defeat the other party. Do you know who the other party is? He is known as the rare genius of the Sheng family, the elite of the Sheng family, Sheng Xingchen. Mu Shiyuan said. Oh, how strong is he? Lu Ming asked. Mu Shiyuan did not answer. Instead, he pondered for a moment before asking, Lu Ming, do you know about the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness? List of top 1,000 talents in Eastern Wilderness. Lu Ming was stunned. This was the first time he had heard of this. Mu Shiyuan waved his hand, and a thick book appeared. There were 5 words written on it. List of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness. The list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness is compiled by the top chamber of commerce in the continent, the Tianji Chamber of Commerce. It includes the top 1,000 most powerful geniuses under the age of 30 in the Eastern Wilderness. This is the list of top 1,000 geniuses of the Eastern Wilderness. In the vast Eastern Wilderness, there are countless regions. However, there are only 1,000 geniuses. You can imagine that each of these 1,000 geniuses is a terrifying genius. The Saint Star is ranked 998 on the list of top 1,000 talents. He's also the only genius in the Tianxian domain who made it onto the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness. His cultivation has definitely reached the King realm. Mu Shiyuan explained, seriously. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He flipped to the last few pages of the list of top 1,000 talents and saw Saint Star's name. His cultivation was also at the King realm, but it did not specify which level of martial king he was at. Is the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness accurate? The Eastern Wilderness is so big, and there are so many geniuses. Can all of them really make it onto the list? Lu Ming asked doubtfully. Mu Shiyuan nodded and said, the Tianji Chamber of Commerce is the top chamber of commerce in the continent. It's extremely powerful and has spread all over the continent. It's also the most well-informed. Therefore, although the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness is not 100% accurate, it's pretty close. Lu Ming nodded and muttered, list of top 1,000 talents. That's why it's too difficult to defeat Saint Star. Mu Shiyuan sighed. I'll definitely defeat him. Lu Ming muttered to himself. However, he did not say it aloud. Before he had the strength, it was enough to keep it to himself. If he said it aloud, others would take it as a joke. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Lu Ming, you're new to Tianxian City. Let me show you around. Tianxian City is very different from other places. Mu Shiyuan shook his head as if he wanted to get rid of his worries. A smile appeared on his face. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. Then Lu Ming and Mu Shiyuan headed to Tianxian City together. As soon as they entered Tianxian City, Lu Ming saw layers upon layers of houses. The houses were pitch black and made of black stones, and they were filled with an ancient aura. Most of these houses had been preserved from the ancient times, along with Tianxian City. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth is so dense, and is that the essence of heaven and earth. Lu Ming's expression changed, and he was amazed. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth in Tianxian City was much denser than in the Eastern Subsidiary Palace. Moreover, there was a faint essence of heaven and earth in the air, which surprised Lu Ming. Cultivating here would allow one to comprehend the essence of heaven and earth much faster than in the outside world. Mu Shiyuan smiled and said, Tianxian City is built on a large spiritual qi and a Dao I. It is filled with dense spiritual qi of heaven and earth and a strong essence of heaven and earth. This is only the periphery of Tianxian City. The deeper you go, the more intense the spiritual qi and essence of heaven and earth will be. Oh, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, the two of them walked along the street and went deeper into Tianxian City. Along the way, Lu Ming looked around. There was not a single shop on either side of the street, which surprised Lu Ming. This was the first time Lu Ming saw a city without shops. Mu Shiyuan seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts. He smiled and said, Tianxian City is different from other cities. In Tianxian City, every inch of land is worth its weight in gold. Every mansion and room is a sacred place for cultivation. Therefore, most of the Tian Divine Guards have to rent a house in Tianxian City. Rent a house? Lu Ming was surprised. Yes, rent a house. The entire Tianxian City is divided into 4 zones. The outermost zone is the first zone. Normally, renting a house will cost between 100,000 lower spiritual crystals and 1 million lower spiritual crystals a day. Most of the houses here are rented by martial ancestor, realm martial artists. As you go deeper into the second zone, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and essence of heaven and earth will be even denser. The rental fee will also increase greatly. Renting a house for a day will cost between 1 and 10 spiritual crystals. In the third zone, renting a house for a day will cost between 10 and 100 spiritual crystals. Mu Shiyuan explained. See, Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. This price was too expensive. It was ridiculously expensive. One should know that the Dao Enlightenment Palace in the Eastern Palace only cost 100 spiritual crystals for a day of cultivation. However, in the third zone, the most expensive price was 100 spiritual crystals a day. What about the fourth zone? Lu Ming asked. The third zone was already so expensive. How many spiritual crystals would the fourth zone cost? Chapter 5:13. In addition, if you want to buy a house or a mansion in Tianxian City, you can do so. However, the price is ridiculously high. Therefore, there is a saying in Tianxian City. If anyone can get a house, they will become rich overnight and save decades of hard work. Mu Shiyuan said. Lu Ming was amazed. Indeed, every inch of land in Tianxian City was worth its weight in gold. If one could get a house, they would be rich even if they rented it to others. However, it is very difficult for ordinary Tian Divine Guards to get a house unless they have made a great contribution. Only the Mu family and the Sheng family will be able to get a house. Mu Shiyuan continued. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and could only be envious. No wonder there were so many geniuses in the Sheng family. One could imagine how strong the geniuses of the Sheng family would be after cultivating in such an environment. As for the other Tian Divine Guards, they would have to spend a large amount of spiritual crystals to rent a place to live and cultivate. That was the difference. The two chatted as they walked. Soon, the two arrived at the second district. The spiritual chi and concept of heaven and earth here were much richer than in the first district. Lu Ming, which district do you want to rent a house in? Mu Shiyuan asked. Let's go to the third district. Lu Ming said. He did not have many spiritual crystals on him, but didn't he get a storage ring from Sheng Feng earlier? He believed that there would be a lot of supreme-grade spiritual crystals in it. Let's go. Soon, the two arrived at the third district. The spiritual chi and concept of heaven and earth here had reached an astonishing level. Staying here for a day would cost at least 10 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. The most expensive one would cost 100 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Lu Ming looked around for a while and stopped in front of a mansion. Let's go to this one, Lu Ming said. Mu Shiyuan nodded and said, Lu Ming, in that case, I will not accompany you. Oh, right. This time, the Tian Divine Guards sent by the 4 branch palaces as reinforcements have only been here for half a month. They can take a good rest. There is no need for them to go out and fight the Heavenly Corpse sect. However, in half a month, they will depart to fight the Heavenly Corpse sect. Generally, there are two ways. The first way is that the mission hall will issue some missions related to killing members of the Heavenly Corpse sect, and there will be rewards for completing them. The second way is that if someone doesn't accept any missions, they will be arranged to go to the battlefield and participate in the war against the Heavenly Corpse sect. Thank you, Brother Mu. Lu Ming cupped his fists. All right then, I'll take my leave first. Mu Xiu Yuan smiled and strode towards the depths of Tianxian City. Mu Xiu Yuan was a direct descendant of the Mu clan, and his cultivation was unfathomable. Naturally, he lived in the deepest area, the fourth area. After Mu Xiu Yuan left, Lu Ming walked towards the mansion on the side. Little brother, are you looking to rent a house? A middle-aged man stood at the entrance of the mansion and smiled when he saw Lu Ming walk in. Yes, I'm here to rent a house. How many spiritual crystals per day? Lu Ming asked. 50 spiritual crystals per day. How long do you want to rent it for? The middle-aged man asked. 15 days. Lu Ming took out 750 spiritual crystals and handed them to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man took them, and the smile on his face widened. He took out a jade token and said, Little brother, this is your key. Your room is room 19. All right. Lu Ming took the jade token and walked into the mansion. There were many rooms in the mansion, and a number was written on the outside of each room. Room 19. Lu Ming quickly found room 19. These rooms were made of stone, and even the door was made of stone. There was a pit on the stone door, and Lu Ming placed the jade token into the pit. Kacha! The stone door opened automatically, and Lu Ming walked in. The room was very simple. There was only a bed and a table. Lu Ming closed the door and sat cross-legged on the bed. With a thought, Lu Ming seemed to have become one with the heavens and earth, quietly comprehending the intent realm of heaven and earth. The intent realm of heaven and earth here is so clear. Lu Ming was a little shocked. He felt that although this place was not as good as the Tao Enlightenment Palace, it was much better than the outside world. Here, it was only 50 spiritual crystals per day. Even if the areas with 100 spiritual crystals were not as good as the Tao Enlightenment Palace, they were not far behind. What kind of scenery would the fourth region be like? It was no wonder that the Sheng family had such resources. It was no wonder that they had dominated the Tianxian domain for so many years. Lu Ming took out the Enlightenment Ancient Tree to speed up his comprehension of the intent realm of heaven and earth. Now, he was mainly comprehending the fire intent realm. In the fourth area, in an elegant courtyard, more than a dozen young experts of the Sheng family gathered. Among them were Sheng Feng, Sheng Kong, and Sheng Jiang. At this moment, Sheng Feng, Sheng Kong, and another young man were standing there with flushed faces. You guys are really trash. How could you be beaten up by a country bumpkin from the eastern region? You guys are really a disgrace to our Sheng family. If it wasn't for Sheng Jiang, our Sheng family would have been thoroughly humiliated. A young man in a purple robe with a purple jade ring on his finger said coldly. Among these young men, the purple-robed young man had a high status. Although Sheng Feng and Sheng Kong's faces were extremely ugly, they did not dare to refute. This time, if Mu Shiyuan had not interfered, I would have crippled that kid and taken him down. Sheng Jiang said coldly, Humph, this time, it's not your fault. Mu Shiyuan will be taught a lesson sooner or later. Now, the most important thing is to take down that kid called Lu Ming. This is not only related to the Sheng family's reputation, but also the young master of the Star Palace. The purple-robed young man said, When the purple-robed young man mentioned the sacred star, the other young men's faces immediately changed and became unusually serious. It was as if they were in awe of the sacred star. But that kid must have entered Tianxian City to rent a house. Tianxian City is so big, and there are so many houses. It will be difficult to find him. Another young man said, "That's easy. That Lu Ming came from the east to provide support. He can rest for half a month at most. After half a month, he will definitely appear. At that time, he will either accept a mission or forcefully assign a mission to him. As long as we send people to keep an eye on the mission hall, we will know when he appears." The purple-robed young man said confidently, "Brother Yu is so wise." The other young men flattered him. The purple-robed young man named Sheng Yu revealed a proud smile and said, "Some time ago, the young master of the Star Palace had a fortuitous encounter and is now cultivating in seclusion. When he comes out, he will definitely be stronger. What we need to do is to take down Lu Ming before he comes out. That way, the young master of the Star Palace will definitely value us more." "Yes, that's for sure. Lu Ming is dead meat." The others agreed. Of course, Lu Ming was unaware of all this. He was wholeheartedly cultivating. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. Chapter 5:14. He felt a force obstructing him from condensing the concept of fire rune. This force actually came from the concept of thunder and concept of wind runes. These two concept runes were resisting, preventing Lu Ming from condensing the concept of fire rune. In fact, Lu Ming had already noticed this when he was condensing the concept of wind rune. At that time, the concept of thunder rune had also created a hindrance, preventing Lu Ming from condensing the concept of wind rune. However, it was just a single concept of thunder rune, so the hindrance was not very strong. Lu Ming had broken through it in one go, but now the hindrance from the two concept runes was too strong. Lu Ming could not break through it for the time being. No wonder others said that cultivating several concepts at the same time would get harder and harder, and there would be almost no achievements. Not only would this divert one's energy, but it would also be very difficult to break through. Lu Ming's 3 concepts, and the ones that he had successfully merged, could create such a strong hindrance. Then, the ones that he had not merged would create an even stronger hindrance. If I want to condense the concept of fire rune in one go, I'm afraid I will need a long time to polish it. Without 3 to 5 years, it will be impossible. Thinking of this, Lu Ming shook his head. 3 to 5 years? That was too long. How could he have so much time to waste? If this path did not work, then he could only go with the second path. Using external forces, he could forcefully break through. Among the external forces, profound crystals were undoubtedly the most effective. However, ordinary profound crystals would not be very effective. He would need a mid-grade profound crystal to succeed in one go. But a mid-grade profound crystal? Thinking of this, Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Profound crystals were divided into low-grade, mid-grade, high-grade, and peak-grade. In the past, Lu Ming came into contact with inferior-grade profound crystals. The lowest price on the market was 1 billion low-grade spirit crystals, which was 1,000 peak-grade spirit crystals. However, a mid-grade profound crystal was 1,000 times more expensive than a low-grade profound crystal. Yes, 1,000 times. A mid-grade profound crystal was at least 1 million peak-grade spirit crystals. It was extremely frightening. The main reason was that mid-grade profound crystals were too rare. They could only be found by chance. However, the effect of a mid-grade profound crystal was like the difference between heaven and earth when compared to a low-grade profound crystal. It was many times stronger. Therefore, Lu Ming could only smile bitterly. He only had 60,000 supreme spiritual crystals that he had obtained from Shengjiang. 60,000 supreme spiritual crystals might not even be enough for Lu Ming to reach the LV3 Martial King realm. Poor, Lu Ming felt that he was really too poor. His crystal stones were far from enough. Also, the demon banishing spear was no longer useful. Lu Ming still wanted to find a king-level inscription master to refine a new spear. The price of finding a king-level inscription master to refine a long spear was definitely not cheap. All of this required spiritual crystals. Let's train for a few more days and see if there are any missions. Immediately, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. This time, he mainly focused on comprehending the concept of lightning. Very quickly, 10 days passed. The progress of the concept of lightning was amazing. It was already at the middle stage of lower tier 1. At this time, Lu Ming had been staying here for 15 days. It was time for the house to be opened. Lu Ming returned the jade token and walked out of the mansion. He then walked towards the mission hall. The mission hall was not in the 3rd district, but in the 2nd district, in Tianxian City, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. The mission hall was not big. There were many people coming and going in the mission hall. There were young people and old people. There were all kinds of people, but every one of them had an extremely strong aura. They were all experts of the Martial King realm. Every one of them was a 2nd-grade Empyrean Divine Guard. There were even 3rd-grade Empyrean Divine Guards. LV3 Imperial Sky Divine Guards were usually lower-tier kings. Lu Ming walked into the mission hall and looked around. Lu Ming suddenly realized that there were many people under a stone tablet that was covered with inscriptions. Most of them were young people. Lu Ming was curious and walked over. On the stone tablet, there were lines of words. These words were all introductions to a mission. Lu Ming also looked at it. This mission? Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. This mission was very suitable for Lu Ming. Not long ago, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace discovered a brand new plane. It had never been discovered before, and no one had ever mined it before. The experts of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace found the weakest point of this plane's space and broke it, creating an entrance. However, they later discovered that the natural laws of this plane were actually time inscriptions. Cultivators above the age of 30 could not enter at all. Only cultivators above the age of 30 seemed to be compatible with the laws of that plane and could enter. Later on, cultivators below the age of 30 entered and discovered that this plane was very vast and boundless. Not only were there natives of this plane, but there were also a large number of precious materials. For example, profound crystals. That's right. The profound crystals contained in this plane were dozens or even hundreds of times more than those outside. It was normal for a plane that had never been mined before to contain a large number of profound crystals. The profound crystal contained innate profound. For a time, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace sent a large number of cultivators below the age of 30 into this plane to mine the profound crystals and other precious materials. The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace took a portion of the profits. However, at this time, they discovered that the Heavenly Corpse sect had also discovered this plane. They also opened an entrance and sent a large number of zombie guards below the age of 30 into this plane. Naturally, when the two sects met, it was inevitable that a fierce battle would break out. Both sides suffered heavy casualties. In the next few months, the two sides carried out a cruel hunt in this plane. A few months later, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace issued a mission. Any Emperor Heaven Divine Guard below the age of 30 could accept the mission and enter this plane to hunt down the zombie guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect. The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace would not take any of the materials they excavated. they would only buy them at a high price. Moreover, killing the zombie guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect would give them generous rewards. Killing a zombie guard of the first layer Martial King realm would give them 2,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Killing a zombie guard of the second layer Martial King realm would give them 5,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Killing a zombie guard of the third layer Martial King realm would give them 10,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Killing a zombie guard of the fourth layer Martial King realm would give them 20,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Killing a zombie guard of the fifth layer Martial King realm would give them 50,000 supreme-grade spiritual crystals. The rewards were very generous. Lu Ming was very tempted. Not only would this mission give rewards, but it would also give him profound crystals. However, this mission was also very dangerous. The Emperor Heaven Divine Guards would be rewarded for killing the zombie guards. The Heavenly Corpse sect would also issue missions to the zombie guards. Killing the Emperor Heaven Divine Guards would also give them generous rewards. In addition, they also had to guard against the aboriginals of this plane. The aboriginals of this plane were called the Scaled Demons and were also very dangerous. This is the mission. Lu Ming walked directly to the counter. I want to accept the mission of the Scaled Demon Plane. Lu Ming said to an old man behind the counter. Chapter 5:15. Sure, I'll help you register. How many soul-sealing crystals do you want to buy? The old man asked. The soul-sealing crystal was able to seal souls, as long as one killed the martial artists of the Heavenly Corpse sect and sealed their souls in the soul-sealing crystal, bringing it back to the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. They would naturally know how many corpse guards they had killed. Moreover, some inscription masters could also use the souls of martial artists to refine some strange things. Normally, they were not allowed to kill other martial artists, seal their souls, and use them for cultivation. However, the Heavenly Corpse sect was an enemy of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, and they also cultivated evil martial arts. Naturally, there was no problem. I want to buy 100 soul-sealing crystals. Lu Ming said after pondering for a while. 100 pieces. Little guy, your appetite is not small. The old man was slightly shocked and looked at Lu Ming a few more times in surprise. I'm just buying a few more in case I need them. Lu Ming smiled. All right. Soul-sealing crystals, 10 supreme-grade spirit crystals each. 100 pieces, a total of 1,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals. As the old man spoke, he took out a box. Inside the box were pieces of dark red crystals with distinct edges and corners. These were soul-sealing crystals. Lu Ming also took out 1,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals and handed them to the old man. Then, he kept the soul-sealing crystals and walked out. After a while, Lu Ming left Tianxian City and turned into a bolt of lightning, heading north. The entrance to the Scaled Demon Plain was 5 million miles north of Tianxian City. Even with Lu Ming's speed, it would take him a few days. In Tianxian City, in Shengyu's courtyard, someone was reporting to Shengyu. Lu Ming has already accepted the mission of the Scaled Demon Plane in the mission hall. A young man reported to Shengyu. Sheng Jiang and a few other experts were also at the side. As I expected, Lu Ming has indeed accepted the mission of the Scaled Demon Plane. Now, the news has spread. Also, it's time for us to set off. Shengyu said as killing intent flickered in his eyes. It's finally here. Lu Ming, let's see who can save you this time. Not only do I want you to die, but I also want your reputation to be ruined. Sheng Kong gnashed his teeth. Within the Sheng family, if one were to ask who hated Lu Ming the most, it would definitely be him. He had already been abused by Lu Ming twice. In addition, Sheng Feng was in a similar situation. His entire fortune had been taken away by Lu Ming, so how could he not hate him? Lu Ming, How dare you steal my storage ring? I'll make you spit it out 10 times over. Sheng Feng roared inwardly. 3 days later, Lu Ming crossed 5 million miles and appeared in a small city. The entrance to the scaled demon plane was in this small city. It was obvious that this small city was newly built. It was built because of the scaled demon plane's entrance. It had only been a few months. Lu Ming walked into the small city and headed towards a huge palace in the center of the city. The entrance of the palace was guarded by the experts of the Emperor Heavenly Deity Palace. It wasn't just the entrance. Some experts were stationed in the surrounding stone houses to prevent the Heavenly Corpse sect from launching a sneak attack. Halt! If you want to enter the scaled demon plane, verify your identity first. At the entrance, a burly man blocked Lu Ming's path. Lu Ming took out the Divine Guard token and handed it to the burly man. After the burly man checked it, he nodded and said, "You can go in now." Lu Ming put away the Divine Guard token and walked into the Great Hall. The Great Hall was very spacious. There was only a black vortex with inscriptions shining around it. This was the entrance to the scaled demon plane. Lu Ming stepped in without hesitation. Heaven and earth spun. The next moment, Lu Ming discovered that he had appeared in a huge square. A burst of noise entered Lu Ming's ears. Only then did Lu Ming discover that there were many people in the square. All of them were young men and women below the age of 30. They gathered in groups of 3 to 5. Some were chatting with each other. Some were sitting cross-legged with their eyes closed. Lu Ming glanced around and discovered that there were no less than a few hundred people. In front of the square, there was a majestic high wall. It was 300 meters tall and surrounded the entire square. This high wall was built to defend against the attacks of the scaled demon race. This was because this was the place where the Tian Divine Guards set out. It was also the place where they rested and gathered. To the scaled demon race, they were outsiders and invaders. Naturally, the scaled demon race hated them and would attack them. Come, come, come. Our team is still short of one person. Who is willing to join our team? Once your cultivation has reached the second martial king realm, we will set off immediately. Come. Our team is short of a martial artist who has comprehended the concept of wood. As long as you know a few healing techniques, you can join us. Our team is short of a martial artist who has comprehended the concept of earth and is good at defense. Who wants to join us? At this moment, shouts entered Lu Ming's ears. This was the Tian Divine Guards forming a team to hunt the corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect and search for treasures. The concept of each element was good at different aspects. For example, the wind was good at speed. For example, the fire was good at explosive power. For example, the concept of wood was good at healing and healing. As for the concepts of earth and mountain, they were good at defense. Only when many people were in a team and their concepts complemented each other could they unleash the strongest power. After all, it was too dangerous to go alone. Brother, you don't look familiar. Is this your first time entering the scaled demon race? At this moment, 4 young men and women walked towards Lu Ming. 3 men and 1 woman. Walking at the front was a burly young man. He looked simple and honest, and there was a sincere smile on his face as he looked at Lu Ming. The one who spoke just now was this young man. Yes, it is my first time here. Lu Ming said, "Oh, I am Han Man. How should I address you?" Han Man cupped his fists and said with a smile, "I am Lu Ming." Lu Ming replied, "So it's Brother Lu. Brother Lu, our team just happens to be short of 1 person. I wonder if Brother Lu can join us to hunt the corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect." Han Man said with a sincere look in his eyes. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and was a little hesitant. "Brother Lu, this is Yao Xian. She has just joined our team. Now, our team is short of one person. After all, the strength of 4 people is too weak. With Brother Lu, we can set off. Han Man pointed at the woman and said. The woman looked to be about 23 or 24 years old. She had a petite figure and an extremely delicate appearance. At this moment, she was looking at Lu Ming with a timid look. At this moment, Han Man continued, Moreover, this is Brother Lu's first time in the scaled demon race. You might not be familiar with everything. If you join our team, we can discuss with each other. Okay, I'll join. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and nodded. Indeed, as Han Man said, this was his first time in the scaled demon race. There were many things that he didn't understand. He was even more clueless about the geography of the scaled demon race. It was necessary to first join a team and familiarize himself with it. Chapter 5:16. Moreover, Han Man and the others seemed to be sincere. They should be willing to cooperate with him. So Lu Ming agreed. Seeing Lu Ming agree, Han Man was overjoyed and said, That's great. Brother Lu, let me introduce you. Han Man immediately introduced them. Han Man's cultivation was at the late 3rd layer Martial King realm. Yao Xian's cultivation was at the peak of the 2nd layer Martial King realm. The other 2 young men were a pair of brothers named Mu Lin and Mu Senator. One of them was at the early 3rd layer Martial King realm, while the other was at the peak of the 2nd layer Martial King realm. Each of them was good at different intents. Some were good at defense, while others were good at attacking. All right, since everyone is here, let's go, Han Man said. Immediately, the 5 of them walked toward the giant wall. There was a giant stone door at the bottom of the wall. The 5 of them walked out of the stone door. Outside the wall was a boundless mountain range. The area around the rendezvous point has been explored. Treasures and power Upanishad crystals have been taken. We have to go to a wider area to find more opportunities and treasures. However, the wider the area, the more treasures there are, the more dangerous it is because there are many scaled demons there. What do you think? Han Man asked the others. We have no objections. Mu Lin and Musa nodded. I have no objections either. Yao Xian said timidly, I have no objections either. Lu Ming said with a smile, All right, let's go. It's best if we can find a small tribe of scaled demons. Then we'll be rich. Han Man's eyes glittered. According to their experience, there would be an ultimacy crystal pit in a tribe of scaled demons. They could dig out ultimacy crystals from there. Whoosh, whoosh. The 5 of them flew into the sky and headed toward the depths of the scaled demon plane. The scaled demon plane was extremely huge. It was definitely one of the top small planes. It could even be considered a middle-sized plane. The area was so vast that it could be described as boundless. The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect had discovered the scaled demon plane for a few months, but they had yet to explore its borders. The 5 of them continued to fly. A day later, they had already flown nearly 1,000,000 miles. When they arrived at this place, their speed slowed down. This was because the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace did not send many people to scout this place. Hence, the danger level was correspondingly higher. Look, that's black forest grass. Suddenly, Mu Lin pointed at a mountain peak in front of them and shouted. Lu Ming looked over, and sure enough, on the cliff of the mountain peak, he saw a patch of black, spiritual grass. There were about a dozen of them, and they looked like black jade, flickering with a luster. That was the black forest grass, a level 5 middle grade spirit grass. Its price was extremely high. Ha ha ha! I didn't expect to see more than a dozen level 5 spiritual herbs as soon as we came in. Our luck is really good. Han Man smiled. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. As expected of a newly discovered plane, its resources were abundant. If it was outside, Level 5 spiritual herbs would be extremely rare. It was basically very difficult to find level 5 spiritual herbs in the wild. They had long been plucked clean. Most of them were cultivated artificially, or they could only appear in some remote mountains, great swamps, or some dangerous places. There were also some mystic realms and plains. Let's pluck them and divide them equally, Hanman said. The 5 of them flew towards the cliff, and with a sweep of their inner yuan, they plucked the black forest grass from its roots. Our luck is really good. There are exactly 15 of them. We'll each take 5. Hanman grinned. Then each of them received 5 stalks, and a smile appeared on their faces. Let's take a look around and see if there are any other spiritual herbs. Hanman suggested. Okay. Everyone nodded in agreement and began to search the nearby mountain peaks. Lu Ming also dashed into a mountain peak alone, scanning the area with his gaze. Could this be a 1,000-year-old purple mushroom? Lu Ming found a purple mushroom under an ancient tree. Rich spiritual essence emanated from this mushroom. The spiritual essence was even stronger than the black forest grass from before. This was an upper-level, level 5 spiritual herb, 1 level higher than the black forest grass. Lu Ming was overjoyed and kept it. Lu Ming's current physical body had reached complete level 6. If he wanted to break through, level 5 spiritual herbs would be useless. He needed level 6 spiritual herbs. Although level 5 spiritual herbs could not help Lu Ming break through, they could be sold for a high price. The more of such things, the better. Lu Ming was excited and was about to continue his search. Boom! On a mountain peak, not far away, there was a sudden explosion. Scaled Demon Tribe. A loud roar was heard. It was Mu Lin's voice. Lu Ming's figure moved, and he dashed in that direction. Whoosh! A figure rushed out from a mountain peak, looking very pathetic. Behind him, more than 10 burly figures of more than 2 meters tall chased after him. These figures looked very strange. Their facial features and body shapes were similar to humans, but their bodies were covered in pitch-black scales that covered their bodies like armor. This was the Scaled Demon Tribe. Wah! Wah! These scaled devils roared wildly, but no one could understand what they were saying. They brandished their battle axes and iron rods, attacking Mu Lin. 1 was equivalent to peak level 2 Martial King. 3 were equivalent to early level 2 Martial King. 2 were equivalent to level 1 Martial King. And the rest were half king. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. No wonder Mu Lin had to run away. His cultivation was only at peak level 2 Martial King. Facing so many scaled demons, he was no match. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed forward. Wah wah! An early-stage 2nd-level Martial King scaled demon roared and charged toward Lu Ming with a battle axe in his hand. The battle axe was swung with a terrifying force. This kind of scaled demon tribe had a terrifying physical strength and a strange power similar to true Yuan, but not the same. Whoosh! Lu Ming's long spear shook and shot out like a bolt of lightning. Puchi! The scaled demon's forehead was penetrated. The scaled demon roared and fell to the ground. Such tough scales, Lu Ming mumbled. Even the scaled demon tribe's face was covered with tough scales. Lu Ming felt a great resistance when he thrust his spear downward. Meanwhile, Han Man, Mu Sun, and Yao Xian had arrived and attacked the scaled demons. Han Man's cultivation was at the peak level 3 Martial King realm. Thus his strength was extremely powerful. The scaled demon tribe was completely suppressed by him and was slain in just a few moves. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward, which turned into rays of spear light. Puff! Puff! 5 or 6 scaled demons were penetrated by the spear light and fell to the ground. Not long after, these scaled demons were all killed. Based on past experience, These scaled demons should be a hunting group from a scaled demon tribe. They were out hunting and happened to stumble into us. Chapter 5:17. A hunting squad from the scaled demon race. If that's the case, then there might be a scaled demon tribe nearby. Mu Sen's eyes lit up. If there was a scaled demon race tribe, it meant that there was a profound crystal pit nearby. The other's eyes lit up as well. The Ultimacy Crystal was an irresistible temptation for warriors above the Martial King realm, as it could greatly speed up their cultivation. I just don't know how big this tribe is, and how strong is it? Mulin said. They had to consider this point. If it was a small tribe, they could consider it. If it was a bigger tribe, they could only give up. Disregarding everything else, if there was an existence equivalent to a king in this tribe, they would be dead for sure. However, they were unwilling to give up just like that. How about this? It's not easy to find a scaled demon race tribe in the vast mountains. Let's find this tribe first, and check out its strength before making a decision. How about that? Hanman suggested. Okay, I have no objections. The others nodded. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't object. Lu Ming was also very eager for profound crystals. Immediately, the 5 of them split up and searched the nearby area. A few hours later, they found something. There was a scaled demon race, tribe more than 30,000 li away. The scaled demons from before must have come from this tribe. The group carefully approached and observed from a mountain peak not far away. There was a simple stone house in front of them. The scaled demons lived in the stone house. Around this stone house, there were tall stone walls. There are about 100 stone houses. The number of scaled demons shouldn't exceed 500. This is a small tribe. Hanman said in a low voice. Generally speaking, a small-scaled demon race tribe shouldn't have too many experts, and there shouldn't be an existence equivalent to a king. We should be able to deal with it. Musen said, That's right. When the time comes, as long as we kill the strongest scaled demons in the tribe, the others won't be a threat. We can then start digging for the profound crystal pit. Hanman nodded. Lu Ming and Yao Xian didn't say anything. It was their first time coming to the scaled demon plane. They lacked experience and naturally wouldn't speak. Brother Lu, Miss Yao, what do you think? Hanman looked at Lu Ming and Yao Xian. I have no objections. I'll just follow your arrangements. Yao Xian whispered, I have no objections either. Lu Ming smiled. All right, then we'll wait until it's dark and rush in. Hanman said. Then everyone waited quietly. Time flew by, and night soon arrived. The scaled demon tribe was plunged into darkness. Let's go. Hanman said. Wait. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly spoke, and his voice was extremely low. What happened? Hanman and the others were puzzled, but in the next moment, their expressions changed slightly. Huff, huff. Suddenly, 5 pitch-black coffins broke through the dark night sky and flew towards the tribe. People from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Yao Xian let out a low cry. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. This was the first time he had met someone from the Heavenly Corpse sect since entering the scaled demon plane. It seems that the Heavenly Corpse sect has also set their sights on this tribe. What should we do? Mulin asked. Let's wait and see. This is a good opportunity for the Heavenly Corpse sect to test the strength of this tribe. Hanman said. Hanman looked simple and honest, but in fact, he was very smart and had a strong cultivation. Mulin and Musun both followed his lead. In the blink of an eye, the 5 coffins flew into the tribe. Wah, wah, wah. At this moment, the scaled demons in the tribe had also noticed the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect, and they roared loudly. Then, tall figures rushed out from the stone houses. Each of them was covered in black scales, and they held battle axes and iron rods in their hands. They rushed towards the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Crack, crack, the 5 coffins opened, and 2 refined corpses flew out from each coffin. Swoosh, swoosh. The iron chains flew across the sky and stabbed towards the scaled demons. In an instant, some of the weaker scaled demons were stabbed to death. Wah, wah, wah. The scaled demon, who flew in the front, was the tallest, almost 3 meters tall. His aura was also the strongest, peak LV3 Martial King realm. Obviously, this scaled demon was the leader of this tribe. He shouted a few times, and some of the scaled demons below the Martial King realm retreated. Only the scaled demons above the Martial King realm continued to attack the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect. 2 peak LV3 Martial King realm refined corpses, and 5 middle and early LV3 Martial King realm refined corpses. Hanman whispered. His voice was full of fear. The strength of the Heavenly Corpse sect surpassed them, and the scaled demon tribe in all aspects. Although the scaled demon tribe had the advantage in numbers, it was still one-sided after the battle broke out. The scaled demons were killed one by one. Other than the tallest scaled demon, there were 2 other scaled demons who had reached LV3 Martial King realm. The gap between them and the Heavenly Corpse sect was too big. The gap between their high-level combat strength was too big. Miserable shrieks rang out continuously. The scaled demons below the Martial King realm also let out miserable shrieks. In the end, regardless of the difference in strength, they rushed towards the refined corpses of the Heavenly Corpse sect. A bunch of uncivilized animals. How dare you resist? You're courting death. A cold voice came from one of the coffins. Then, a young man with a pale face walked out of the coffin. Hee, but these animals have good bodies. It's not bad to refine them into refined corpses. Another young man with a pale face walked out of another coffin. They were the corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect. 5 young zombie guards walked out of the 5 coffins, one after another. Hee, die animals. The 5 corpse guards sneered. Then they moved and pounced on the scaled demons below the Martial King realm. Corpse chi surged. Claw radiance slashed out, killing the scaled demons one by one. Wah wah! The leader of the scaled demons roared loudly, as if he was incomparably angry. The scaled demons below the Martial King realm also roared when they heard the leaders roar. Then they turned around and fled from the tribe. Trying to escape? Die! The 5 corpse guards waved their claws and killed the scaled demons one by one. At the same time, they controlled the refined corpses to kill the scaled demons. Under the siege of 2 refined corpses of the same level, the leader of the scaled demons was finally defeated. His scales were pierced and torn, and he was killed in the end. After a while, the higher-ups of the scaled demons were all killed. Other than a few who escaped, the rest of the scaled demons were all dead, leaving a ground full of corpses. Hee, this trip was worth it. Not only did I get some good corpses, but I also got profound crystals. A corpse guard sneered and walked towards the depths of the tribe. What should we do? Chapter 5:18. Seeing that the fat meat in their mouths was about to fly away, they were unwilling to give up. However, the Heavenly Corpse sect was too strong, far above them. If they rushed forward, they would only end up like the scaled demon tribe. Forget it, let's retreat. The Heavenly Corpse sect is too strong. Hanman said with a frown. The Heavenly Corpse sect had 2 corpses at the peak of the LV3 Martial King realm, and 5 more corpses at the same level. They were too strong, and they were no match for them, not including the 5 corpse guards. The 5 zombie guards were also a strong force. It's not easy to find such a place. How can we miss it so easily? At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. Han Man, Mu Lin, and the others were stunned. Then, They looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? You can't be thinking of killing them, right? That's a dead end. Musen said, How do you know it's a dead end if we haven't fought? Lu Ming smiled and rose to his feet. He stepped into the air and headed toward the Scaled Demon Clan's tribe. Lu Ming. Yao Xian cried out. She wanted to follow Lu Ming, but she didn't dare to. She was hesitating. Han Man, Mu Sun, and Mu Lin looked at each other and didn't follow. Instead, a sinister look flashed in their eyes. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. In a few steps, he appeared in the sky above the Scaled Demon tribe. Who is it? A zombie guard yelled and looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. The other 4 zombie guards also looked at Lu Ming. The person who will kill you. Lu Ming said indifferently. His voice was calm, but there was a cold, killing intent in his calm voice. Kill us? Haha, with just you? What a joke. A zombie guard laughed, full of disdain. Kid, you're a DT Divine guard, right? Hee hee, a DT Divine. Guard dares to appear after seeing us. You're courting death. Kill. One of the zombie guards yelled. Whoosh. A refined corpse with a cultivation of the middle stage, 3rd layer martial emperor realm waved its arms, causing chains to wrap around Lu Ming like poisonous snakes. Boom. Lu Ming burst out with his aura and brandished his spear. Several iron chains were sent flying by Lu Ming. A mere cultivation of the peak 2nd layer martial emperor realm dares to resist. You're courting death. The zombie guard yelled as he controlled the corpse with the cultivation of the peak 3rd layer martial emperor realm to lunge at Lu Ming. As for the other 4 zombie guards, they stood to the side and didn't make a move. It was as if they were watching a good show. I can't be bothered to play with you. Die. Lu Ming coldly shouted. The concept of thunder soared into the sky, combining with Lu Ming's spear style. Whoosh! The spear pierced out, turning into a lightning spear light that pierced through everything. Refined corpses were naturally afraid of lightning. Moreover, Lu Ming's thunder concept had already reached the middle stage of level 1 lesser completion. With a bang, the refined corpse was struck by the lightning spear and turned into charcoal. Lesser completion of thunder concept. The zombie guard yelled in shock. Die! A cold voice was heard from Lu Ming's mouth. Another lightning spear light was thrust out. The zombie guard was terrified and wanted to retreat, but how could it? The lightning spear light struck him directly, leaving a huge hole in his chest. Corpse chi was emitted from his body, and he was no longer breathing. Damn it, let's attack together and kill him. The other 4 zombie guards were furious. They yelled and controlled the refined corpses to attack Lu Ming. There were 9 refined corpses in total. 6 of them were above the 3rd layer martial emperor realm, while the remaining 3 were at the 2nd layer martial emperor realm. A bunch of trash that likes to play with other people's corpses. Die? Boom. Lu Ming held the spear in his hand. The spear light extended to 1,000 meters long and lashed out in all directions with a destructive force. Bang, bang, bang. The 9 refined corpses were like 9 broken gunny sacks. They were sent flying by Lu Ming one by one, unable to resist at all. How is this possible? The 4 zombie guards were tongue-tied. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets as they were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming, a mere 2nd layer martial emperor realm cultivator. How terrifying is his strength? Shit, fall back. One of the zombie guards yelled in shock. Without the protection of the zombie guards, their strength would be greatly reduced. It's too late to back off now. Extreme Dao Strike. Shush. Lu Ming merged with his spear and transformed into a beam of light piercing through the air. Puff. A zombie guard with a cultivation of the third-layer Martial Emperor realm was pierced through his forehead, dying a horrible death on the spot. The other 3 zombie guards screamed in terror and fled in all directions. Not far away on the mountain peak, Han Man and the others were also dumbfounded. Attack! Help Lu Ming! Han Man's eyes flickered with a hint of darkness as he uttered a groan and dashed forward. Following this, Mu Lin, Mu Sun, and Yao Xian also dashed toward one of the zombie guards. Shush! Lu Ming seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning. In a flash, he appeared behind one of the zombie guards and killed it with a thrust of his spear. Following this, his figure dashed toward the next zombie guard. When Lu Ming killed the 4th zombie guard, Han Man and the others had also killed the 5th zombie guard. After the zombie guard died, the refined corpses remained motionless in the air. Brother Lu, you're really good at hiding your true strength. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I'm impressed. Han Man and the others flew toward Lu Ming with astonishment. Han Man was the first to bring his fists together. Since when did a genius like Brother Lu appear in the Emperor God Palace? We didn't even know about it beforehand. It seems like our information is too outdated. Mu Sun also brought his fists together and said with a smile. As for Yao Xian, her gaze toward Lu Ming was filled with curiosity and admiration. Lu Ming had killed the 5 powerful zombie guards with just a few moves. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, it would have been unbelievable. You're welcome. Now, seal your souls, Lu Ming said. After speaking, Lu Ming took out a soul-sealing crystal and started to seal the souls of the zombie guards. Normally, a cultivator's soul wouldn't dissipate for 10 minutes after their death. However, after 10 minutes, the soul would dissipate and be difficult to seal. Lu Ming took out a soul-sealing crystal and placed it on top of a zombie guard's corpse. Then he injected his quintessential essence into it. Complex inscriptions appeared on the surface of the soul-sealing crystal. Then it produced a suction force and pulled out a black mist from the zombie guard's corpse. This mist kept twisting and turning, and its shape was very similar to that zombie guard. This was the zombie guard's soul. The zombie guard's soul flew into the soul-sealing crystal. A layer of black mist appeared on the surface of the soul-sealing crystal. The seal was successful. Lu Ming put it away. On the other side, Han Man and the others only sealed the soul of the zombie guard they had killed. They didn't touch the other zombie guards that Lu Ming had killed. The soul belonged to whoever killed the zombie guard. This was the rule. Lu Ming didn't stand on ceremony and sealed the souls of the remaining 3 zombie guards. All right, now let's go and take a look at the profound crystal pit. A look of anticipation flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. The power Upanishad crystals were what he wanted. Chapter 5:19. In the depths of the scaled demon tribe, there were 7 stone altars. The 7 altars formed a circle surrounding a large pit in the middle. When Lu Ming and the others approached, they discovered that a mysterious aura was constantly emitting from the pit. This was the aura of the concept of heaven and earth. This big pit was the so-called profound meaning crystal pit, concept of earth. Lu Ming's heart shook, and he was somewhat disappointed. The profound crystal pit emitting the aura of the concept of earth meant that this pit contained profound crystals of the earth attribute. He couldn't directly use the profound crystals of the earth attribute, so he could only exchange them. Let's start digging, Lu Ming said. He directly walked into the pit, took out a large knife, and started digging. Clang! The large knife chopped down, producing a clanging sound. The stones in the pit were actually incomparably hard. However, under Lu Ming's powerful true yuan, they were still shaved off piece by piece. Let's work together, Han Man called out. Mu Sun and the others walked into the pit together, took out various weapons, and started digging. The The five of them worked together, and their speed was extremely fast. Soon, they had dug out a 3-meter wide and 10-meter deep pit. At this time, the concept of earth beneath their feet became even denser. The five of them were shaken, and they dug even harder. Soon, the pit was 20 meters deep. "There's a profound crystal here." A crisp voice sounding somewhat excited. It was Yao Xian. Unexpectedly, Yao Xian was the first to dig out a profound crystal. Everyone looked over and saw an earthy yellow profound crystal embedded in the stone wall in front of Yao Xian. It emitted a strong concept of earth aura. "Miss Yao, put it away first," Han Man said. Yao Xian nodded and carefully dug out the profound crystal. She put it in a jade box and put it away. Then, everyone started digging even harder. Following Yao Xian's good start, everyone's harvest came. More and more profound crystals were dug out. These profound crystals were buried deep in the earth, and they were condensed after countless years. The five of them kept digging, and they found more and more profound crystals. 2 hours later, the pit was 10 meters wide and 50 meters deep, and they found a total of 26 profound crystals of the earth attribute. Ha! I didn't expect there to be more than 20 profound crystals in this profound crystal pit. It's already not bad. Han Man grinned. Until now, there was no longer any trace of the concept of earth in the deep pit. This meant that they had already dug out all the profound crystals in this pit. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly felt that there was a stone under his feet. It was extremely special. This rock was the size of a human head. Lu Ming had dug it out earlier and placed it aside casually. But now that he looked at it, he realized that the color of this rock was somewhat different from the surrounding rocks. This piece of rock had a crystalline feel to it. On its surface, it emitted a faint fluorescent light. Lu Ming casually slashed the stone with his saber. When the saber slashed down, sparks flew in all directions. Lu Ming's saber bounced back. Lu Ming was shocked. The saber in his hand was a high-grade LV-4 spirit weapon. It was incomparably sharp. With a casual chop, even a mountain would be chopped in half. Yet, this rock was not chopped in half. Only a mark was left on it. Han Man and the others looked over curiously. Interesting. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and the true yuan in his body surged toward the saber. At the same time, the three intents were integrated into the saber. Then he slashed at the stone. A loud sound of friction rang out, and sparks flew everywhere. That piece of rock still wasn't cut open, but it cracked open. At the same time, an unbelievably strong earth intent spread out from the stone. This intent, how can it be so strong? Lu Ming was shocked. Han Man and the others also opened their eyes wide in shock. This earth intent was too strong. The other profound crystals of the earth attribute were like trash in front of this earth intent. Lu Ming felt his heart beat faster. Lu Ming moved his hand, and the saber in his hand disappeared, and a sledgehammer appeared. Whung! The sledgehammer smashed down on the stone. Bang! Gravel flew. The stone finally cracked, and the thing inside was revealed. A piece of crystal, a piece of glistening yellow crystal. This crystal emitted a fierce, intent domain of heaven and earth. Everybody could see wisps of power Upanishad drifting in the air. Is this a mid-grade earth attribute profound crystal? Han Man roared, his voice trembling. His eyes burned with passion. A mid-grade profound crystal. The others were also very surprised. Their eyes were wide open as they stared at the crystal. A mid-grade profound crystal. Lu Ming was also shocked. Then his true yuan burst out, and he grabbed the profound crystal in his hand. The rest of the people focused their gazes on Lu Ming's palm. Okay, now, let's divide the profound crystals. Lu Ming said indifferently. Han Man, Mu Sun, and Mu Lin looked at each other. Then, their eyes flashed. How about this? This time, we were able to enter this place because of Brother Lu. If Brother Lu didn't kill the Heavenly Corpse Guard, we would have to retreat. We wouldn't have the chance to dig out the profound crystals. So, I suggest that the mid-grade profound crystal belongs to Brother Lu, and the other low-grade profound crystals will be divided equally. What do you think? Han Man suggested. Okay, I have no objection. I have no objection either. Mu Sun and Mu Lin spoke one after the other. They were very straightforward. Only Yao Xian looked at Lu Ming with a complicated gaze. She was reluctant to part with the crystal. After all, a mid-grade profound crystal was too precious. In the end, Yao Xian gritted her teeth and said in a low voice, I have no objection either. Then, many thanks to everyone. Lu Ming cupped his fists and took the middle-grade profound crystal for himself without hesitation. Then, the low-grade profound crystals were divided. There were a total of 26 high-grade profound crystals, 5 for each person. Han Man took out 1,000 high-grade spirit crystals to buy the extra high-grade profound crystal and then divided it equally. Lu Ming didn't care and casually put away the profound crystals and high-grade spirit crystals. Let's destroy those refined corpses. Otherwise, if the Heavenly Corpse Sex people find them and take them back, they will be a disaster. Han Man suggested. Everyone nodded. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the lightning intent turned into spear lights that flew out, turning the refined corpses into charcoal. After dealing with the corpses, the 5 of them soared into the sky and left. In the next 2 days, the 5 of them searched for the scaled devil tribe within 100,000 li radius. They came across another scaled devil tribe, but this tribe was too big. There were more than 10,000 of them. Chapter 520. They took a detour and searched in other places. This plain was indeed a newly discovered plain. It was rich in resources. In the past few days, they had found about 50 level 5 spiritual herbs, spiritual flowers, and some level 5 refining materials. All of them added up to a high value. However, they did not encounter anyone from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Hey, what's that? Mu Sun suddenly pointed to a valley in front of them. The valley was not big, and there were red lights shining in the valley. Let's go take a look. The 5 of them flew towards the valley. When they got closer to take a look, they were immediately shocked. There was a large field of red spiritual flowers. Every spiritual flower was fiery red, like a burning flame, and emitted a strong medicinal fragrance. This is a level 4 spiritual flower, fire cage flower. Han Man exclaimed. Level 4 spiritual flowers were not enough to surprise them, but there were too many of them. They were densely packed, covering more than half of the valley. There should be more than 1,000 of them. It was unbelievable that a small valley could produce so many fire cage flowers. It was not normal. Fire concept. There is a faint fire concept here that is covered by the fire cage flowers. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. Among the 5 of them, he was the only one who cultivated the fire concept. Although the fire concept was faint, Lu Ming could still feel it. Fire concept. Han Man and the others frowned, and then their eyes lit up. It's very likely that there is a profound crystal pit below, which contains fire attribute profound crystals. That's why there are so many fire cage flowers. Han Man said in surprise. Lu Ming nodded. He had the same guess. Immediately, the 5 of them plucked all the fire cage flowers. There were about 1,200 flowers in total. The 5 of them divided it equally, and each of them had more than 200 flowers. After the fire cage flowers were plucked, the scarlet ground was revealed. An intense fire concept filled the air, and it was incomparably dense. It's really a profound crystal pit. Ha ha ha, we're so lucky. Mulin laughed. Let's start digging. Lu Ming also smiled. Then, the five of them started digging. Indeed, not long after that, Han Man was the first one to find a fire Upanishad crystal. Of course, it was a low-grade one. The five of them dug even harder. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from the sky. 3 figures were flying in their direction. The next moment, they appeared in the sky. The faces of the 3 young men were filled with arrogance. The 3 of them swept their gazes downwards and revealed excited smiles. Haha, we're so lucky. There's a power Upanishad crystal pit here. We can make a fortune again. One of the young men laughed. Then he looked coldly at Lu Ming and the others and berated, "Get out of here. This place belongs to us now." Ha ha ha, what a joke. The 3 of you, we were the ones who discovered this place first. Han Man laughed. So what have you found out? If I say it's ours now, it's ours. A purple-robed youth sneered. On what basis? Mu Sun was furious. Why? Because we're the lineal disciples of the Sheng family. Kid, look carefully. The purple-robed youth waved his hand, and a shiny token appeared. There were 2 big words on the token. Sheng Tian. Sheng Tian token. Mu Sun, Mu Lin, and the others exclaimed. They were indeed the lineal disciples of the Sheng family. Now, you can get out of here. The purple-robed youth sneered. Damn it, Mu Sun growled. So, what if you're the lineal disciples of the Sheng family? We found this place first. According to the rules, it belongs to us. The 3 of you, please leave. Han Man took a step forward and said in a sonorous voice, Kid, how dare you defy the Sheng family? You're courting death. The purple-robed youth shouted. Boom, boom, boom. 3 powerful auras burst out from the 3 Sheng family youths. The purple-robed youth was at the peak of LV3 Martial King realm. The other 2 youths were at the early stage of LV3 Martial King realm. The 3 of them released powerful auras toward Han Man. You've gone too far. Han Man shouted, and a powerful aura burst out from his body. At the same time, Mu Sun and Mu Lin also released powerful auras and joined Han Man to resist the Sheng family youths. This Yao Xian hesitated. She glanced at Lu Ming and bit her lips. She also released her aura. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, and an inexplicable smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Then, a powerful aura burst out from his body. The 5 of them joined forces, and their auras were no weaker than the Sheng family youths. How dare you? You still dare to resist? How dare you? The purple-robed youth shouted, and a cold, killing intent appeared on his face. Let's fight. I'm not afraid. Even if the palace master finds out, we're in the right. Han Man shouted and did not back down. Good, good, very good. The purple-robed youth was so angry that he laughed and said a few words. However, there was hesitation in his eyes. After a while, the purple-robed youth said coldly, I'll remember you. Today I'll let you go. Let's go. Then he waved his hand and flew away with the other 2 youths. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared. Let's continue to dig. We have to be quick. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if the Sheng family comes again. Han Man said, Okay. Mu Sun and the others responded and dug harder. No one noticed that the inexplicable smile on Lu Ming's face became wider. Half an hour later, half of the valley was dug out by them. This time, they dug out a total of 30 fire attribute profound crystals. Unfortunately, the 5 of them didn't find any mid-grade profound crystals even after searching everywhere. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. If he had a middle-grade fire attribute profound meaning crystal, he would be able to condense the fire concept rune with the help of the fire attribute middle-grade fire attribute profound meaning crystal. It seemed like he could only go to the mystical treasure house in Tianxian City and see if he could exchange a mid-grade earth attribute profound crystal for a mid-grade fire attribute profound crystal. Moreover, even if he could exchange it, the handling fee would definitely be high. Let's leave this place quickly, Han Man said. Then, they divided the 30 fire attribute profound crystals equally and soared into the sky, leaving this place. A few hours later, the 5 of them were already 100,000 miles away. At this time, night had fallen. The 5 of them lit a bonfire and hunted several demonic beasts in the nearby forest and began to roast them. This plain also had demonic beasts, but their levels were not very high. Soon, the demonic beast meat was roasted golden, and a fragrant smell assailed their nostrils. Ha! Come, I brought some fruit wine from my hometown. This fruit wine is a specialty of my hometown and is extremely famous. It's brewed with 108 kinds of spiritual fruits. Try it. Chapter 5:21. Lu Ming received the jug and opened it. In an instant, a rich fragrance assailed his nostrils. Good wine indeed. Lu Ming laughed. Ha ha, of course it's good wine. Come, drink. Han Man laughed heartily. He lifted the jug and gulped down several mouthfuls. Come. Mu Sun and Mu Lin also lifted the jug and drank several mouthfuls. Lu Ming smiled and also lifted the jug, taking several mouthfuls. Feeling the rich wine fragrance, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Good wine indeed!" On the side, Yao Xian also drank several mouthfuls. Her cheeks were flushed red. Then everyone tore off the roasted beast meat and mixed it with the fruit wine, eating and drinking in big mouthfuls. Not long after, the jug of wine was emptied. Even Yao Xian drank half a jug of wine. Her face was bright red, looking extremely cute. Han Man's eyes nearly popped out of his head. A fiery light flickered in his eyes, and he quickly turned his head away. You guys, when do you plan to make your move? At this time, Lu Ming put down the jug and suddenly asked. The people he asked were Han Man, Mu Sun, and Mu Lin. Several people were taken aback, revealing a doubtful expression. What move? What does Brother Lu mean? Of course, it's to make a move on me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Han Man and the others' faces changed drastically. A trace of panic flashed across their eyes. Brother Lu, you're really good at joking. Why would we make a move on you? Han Man revealed a simple and honest smile. On the side, Yao Xian also revealed a doubtful expression, blinking her big eyes as she looked at Lu Ming. Until now, you still want to pretend? You think it's flawless, but you don't know there are flaws everywhere. Lu Ming's voice slowly turned cold. Brother Lu, did you misunderstand? Han Man's face turned ugly. Misunderstood. Hee, from the moment I entered the scaled demon world, you guys came looking for me and invited me to join your team. This is really a coincidence. Ah. Lu Ming said nonchalantly. Brother Lu, this is really a coincidence. At that time, we had just invited Miss Yao Xian to join our team, and we were missing one person. Coincidentally, we saw Brother Lu coming in and invited Brother Lu. Han Man explained. All right, that's reasonable. However, you guys were too generous when we found the mid-rank profound crystal. How precious is a mid-rank profound crystal? One of them is equal to 1,000 low-rank profound crystals. However, you guys are so generous, giving it to me without even thinking. Ordinary people would be reluctant to give it to me, but you guys don't. This is abnormal. It's simple. You just want to gain my trust. Also, you guys were only putting on a show with the help of the Sheng clan previously. Those from the Sheng clan have always been lofty and arrogant. How could they possibly back off just because of a few words from you guys? Ordinary people wouldn't dare to go against the Shung family. Yet you guys did it, displaying a fearless appearance. Yet the people of the Shung family retreated. Hee hee, you guys are just trying to lower my guard and gain my trust. Unfortunately, you guys are too good at acting, Lu Ming explained calmly. Han Man, Mu Sun, and Mu Lin's faces turned ugly. Suddenly, Yao Xian's body trembled, and her face turned pale. She seemed to have lost all her strength and fell to the ground. What's going on? Why do I feel so weak all of a sudden? I can't even circulate my Zhen Yuan. Yao Xian cried out in a panic. At this time, Lu Ming's face also changed and turned pale. His body leaned back slightly, and he roared, Guys, you poisoned the wine. Poisoned? No, Brother Lu, don't talk nonsense. Han Man denied. You're still denying it? My body is weak now, and I can't circulate my Zhen Yuan. This is clearly poison. Lu Ming roared. I'm poisoned too. Why are you guys fine? Yao Xian looked at the three of them in a panic. Han Man and the other two were indeed completely fine. Han Man looked at Lu Ming carefully, and the light in his eyes became brighter. Then he laughed complacently. Lu Ming, you're really poisoned. You've been poisoned by the 10 fragrance tendon weakening powder. Your body is weak, and you can't circulate your Zhen Yuan. Now, you're a fish on the chopping block. You guys really poisoned me? Why? Yao Xian cried out in disbelief. Why? Isn't it because this kid overestimated himself and even dared to offend the Saint clan? Isn't he courting death? You're just a tool for us to use. Han Man glanced at Yao Xian, and his face was gloomy. The honest look from before was nowhere to be seen. Mu Sun and Mu Lin's expressions were similar. You guys dragged Yao Xian in to lower my guard. However, there's one thing that I can't figure out. Lu Ming said. Oh, what is it? I don't mind explaining it to you. Han Man smiled complacently. He wasn't afraid of Lu Ming stalling for time because the longer the effect of the 10 fragrance tendon weakening powder was, the stronger it would be. If the Saint clan wants to deal with me, they can just send experts to kill me. Why would they send you guys to approach me and poison me secretly? My cultivation isn't strong enough for the Saint clan to send people to assassinate me. Lu Ming said. Hee hee, Lu Ming, it's easy for the Saint clan to kill you. However, wouldn't it be letting you off too easily if they just killed you like that? What the Saint clan wants is for you to lose your reputation and go down in history in infamy. Let's say you did something inappropriate to Yao Xian and killed her after that. At that time, we just happen to arrive and take you down. In that case, how do you think the upper echelons of the Emperor's Sky Divine Palace and Miss Mulin's would look at you? Han Man sneered. Lu Ming had a sudden realization. It turned out that this was the motive of the Shung family. They wanted to ruin his reputation. They were really vicious. Yao Xian's face was incomparably pale. Fear flashed in her eyes as her body trembled nonstop. She cried out, I don't know anything. I beg you, let me go. Let you go? How is that possible? If you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck. Han Man sneered. His gaze swept over Yao Xian's body, revealing a blazing light. He said, Lu Ming, I'll help you with the matter of helping this chick. Ha ha. Han Man smiled lecherously and walked towards Yao Xian. No, don't come over, you beast. Yao Xian's body trembled even more violently as tears streamed down her face. She had never thought that Han Man, who looked so honest and kind, would be such a beast in human face. Yao Xian, it's a pity for a beauty like you to die. Before you die, let me give you a good time. Han Man smiled lecherously. At the side, Mu Sun and Mu Lin revealed an envious expression. Scum like you, Who knows how many people have been deceived by you? Living in this world is simply a waste of air. At this time, Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming, you're about to die, yet you're still talking nonsense. You're asking for a beating. Chapter 522. Pa! In the next moment, a crisp slap was heard. With a blood-curdling scream, Mu Lin's body was sent flying far away. He crashed into a tree and fell to the ground, coughing up blood. Han Man's foot stopped in midair. His face was filled with shock, and his entire body stiffened. Mu Sen's face was also filled with shock. At this moment, Lu Ming stood up slowly. His originally pale face had turned rosy. His body was filled with vital essence, and a powerful aura was exuded from him. Han Man's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. He shouted, "How is this possible? You drank a jar of wine and were poisoned by the 10 fragrant tendon-weakening powder. Even a greater mastery king would feel weak after eating it. How are you fine?" Han Man screamed in disbelief. "I forgot to tell you that poison doesn't work on me." Lu Ming said indifferently. His voice was cold. He had the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Any poison that entered his body would be devoured. The 10 fragrant tendon-weakening powder was colorless and odorless. However, when Lu Ming drank the first mouthful of wine, the 9 dragons' bloodline detected it and devoured it. Lu Ming pretended not to know and drank the entire jar of wine on purpose. He wanted to see what Han Man and the others were up to. Han Man and Mu Sen's bodies trembled slightly. They had seen Lu Ming's battle prowess against the Heavenly Corpse sect. It wasn't something they could resist. Go inform the Sheng family." Han Man roared, and at the same time, he quickly retreated. On the other side, Mu Sun also retreated quickly. As for Mu Lin, they couldn't care less. "You want to leave? It's not that easy. Die." Whoosh! A thunder spear, radiance, instantly traversed a distance of 10 miles and pierced through Mu Sen's chest. He was killed in one move. Whoosh! Then Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and chased after Han Man. No! Han Man's expression changed drastically. He waved his hand, and a beam of light shot into the sky. It was a signal. "Help! Help!" Han Man screamed as he ran. At this time, he was almost scared out of his wits. Usually, he relied on his simple and honest appearance to gain the trust of many people and secretly harm many people. Seeing those who had begun to trust him die in front of him, he felt incomparably refreshed. Now, when he saw that Mu Sun had been killed, he felt a chill run down his spine. He was terrified beyond compare. Die! The 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps was extremely fast. In an instant, he caught up with Han Man. "No! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Help!" Han Man roared hysterically as he ran for his life. But it was all in vain. The terrifying lightning spear projection pierced through the void and blasted a large hole in Han Man's chest. No, I don't want to die. Save me, save me." Looking at the big hole in his chest, Han Man didn't die yet. He screamed in terror. His eyes were filled with incomparable regret. If he had known earlier, he would never have agreed to the Sheng clan's request to deal with Lu Ming. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Lu Ming looked at him indifferently. "Ha! Lu Ming, since you've offended the Sheng clan, you won't be able to live either. You'll have to accompany me sooner or later. I'll wait for you below." Seeing that he couldn't live, Han Man cursed crazily. Then his vitality dissipated, and his corpse fell down without a trace. Lu Ming's Zhen Yuan swept up Han Man's storage ring. Then his devouring power erupted and devoured Han Man's blood essence. His figure flashed and appeared beside Mu Lin. As Mu Lin screamed in terror, he stabbed him to death with a single spear. Rumble! At this moment, a violent rumbling sound came from afar. It was the sound of a martial artist flying too fast. Someone had arrived, and there were quite a few of them. There were dozens of them. All of them were experts. There were 5 or 6 auras that were unfathomable and incomparably dense. The Shang clan's people are quite fast. Moreover, there are 5 kings in the initial stage. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. His figure flashed as he took Mu Sen's blood essence and storage ring. "Save me! Save me!" Yao Xian called out. Lu Ming's expression changed. He appeared beside Yao Xian and hugged her waist. Then his figure soared into the sky and flew away at extreme speed. Yao Xian was involved because of him. If he left her alone, it wouldn't be Lu Ming's style. Damn it, it's Lu Ming and Han Man. Those trash can't even do such a thing. Chase after him and kill him. A furious roar rang out. Chase! Swish! Swish! The sound of air being torn rang out continuously. At least 20 people chased after Lu Ming at extreme speed. Sheng Kong, Sheng Wei, Sheng Feng, and Sheng Jiang. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he saw a few familiar faces in the crowd. I won't play with you guys now. When my cultivation increases, I won't let any of you off. Lu Ming snorted coldly and used the 9 Dragons Heaven stomping steps. The 9 Dragons Heaven stomping steps was unbelievably fast. He could fly 100 miles in an instant. After a while, the people of the Sheng family had been left behind by Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't stop. He continued to fly 100,000 miles before he found an extremely hidden underground cave and went in. 100,000 miles away from Lu Ming, the people of the Sheng family stopped. The leader was Sheng Yu. At this moment, Sheng Yu's face was extremely ugly as he roared, "Search! We must find that bastard Lu Ming." Yes. Immediately, the 20 or so Sheng family geniuses were divided into 5 teams. Each team was led by an early-stage king. They spread out and continued to pursue. Lu Ming carried Yao Xian into an underground cave. "Put me down." Yao Xian called softly. At this moment, her little face was so red that it was about to bleed. She was very cute. Just now, she had been in Lu Ming's arms. Feeling the masculine aura of Lu Ming, her heart raced and her body heated up. "Oh." Lu Ming nodded and gently put Yao Xian down. There was a look of reluctance on his face. Yao Xian's face became even redder. "Ahem, Miss Yao Xian, the 10 fragrant tendon-weakening powder will wear off in 3 days. You can stay here for a while and leave after 3 days." Lu Ming said, Where are you going?" Yao Xian asked. "Me? Of course, I'm going to find the bastard of the Sheng family." Lu Ming smiled coldly. "Find the Sheng family?" Yao Xian exclaimed. Lu Ming still dared to find the Sheng family? Shouldn't he be avoiding the Sheng family now? She couldn't figure it out. "Miss Yao, goodbye." Lu Ming cupped his fists and then left the underground cave. He appeared on an ancient tree. After a while, Lu Ming appeared in the Temple of Paragon with a thought. I wonder how many supreme-grade spiritual crystals there are. It should be enough for me to break through to the 3rd-level Martial King realm. Chapter 5:24. Following this, Lu Ming immersed his mind into the storage rings. Lu Ming did not pay attention to the other things. He first took out all the supreme spiritual crystals. Han Man, Mu Sun, and Mu Lin had around 100,000 supreme spiritual crystals in total, in addition to the 60,000 supreme spiritual crystals that Lu Ming had. Lu Ming now had a total of 160,000 supreme spiritual crystals. 160,000 supreme spiritual crystals is enough for me to break through to the 3rd layer Martial King realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He then waved his hand, and 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals floated in the air. Bang! 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 The 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals all exploded. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline to devour the spiritual qi in the crystals and began to break through to the 3rd layer martial king realm. Soon, the 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals were all refined. Lu Ming took out another 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Another 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Very soon, Lu Ming had refined a total of 120,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals. Break. The 120,000 supreme spiritual crystals had turned into true force, which was extremely powerful. The ferocious true qi continued to surge toward the 3rd layer martial emperor realm cultivator. Boom. After a short, while Lu Ming's aura rose rapidly with a loud explosion. He had broken through to the 3rd layer martial king realm. After consuming 120,000 supreme spiritual crystals, Lu Ming's cultivation had finally broken through to the 3rd layer martial king realm, greatly increasing his strength. Continue. Lu Ming took out the last 40,000 supreme spiritual crystals and devoured them all to increase his cultivation. Soon, the last 40,000 supreme spiritual crystals had all been converted into Lu Ming's true force. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the early stage of the 3rd layer martial king realm. He had not broken through to the mid-stage of the 3rd layer martial king realm. After reaching the 3rd layer martial king realm, the amount of supreme spiritual crystals needed to break through had increased again. I wonder how the early stage of the 3rd layer martial king realm will fare against a martial king realm minor success. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The next moment, he left the Temple of Paragon and flew up into the sky. Soon, he had traveled tens of thousands of miles. Suddenly, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks. Up ahead, there were 6 figures flying at high speed. Suddenly, Lu Ming, that's Lu Ming. Lu Ming is in front. Speed up, don't let him escape. Several loud roars rang out as 6 figures charged towards Lu Ming at lightning speed. These 6 people were none other than the 6 youths from the Sheng family. Lu Ming stood motionless in the void. The space trembled as 6 sacred family youths flew over and surrounded Lu Ming. A surging aura gushed out from the young man from the Sheng family without any concealment. 1 mid-4th level martial king, 3 3rd-level martial kings, and 2 2nd-level martial kings. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the 6 youths of the Sheng family and was well aware of their cultivation level. Ha! This fellow actually isn't running. Could it be that he's scared silly? No matter what, this credit belongs to us. The youths from the Sheng family laughed and looked at Lu Ming mockingly as if Lu Ming could be easily manipulated by them. Be careful later. This fellow is not simple. The lower-level martial king frowned. With Brother Chang here, this fellow won't be able to do anything. Another young man laughed. Lu Ming's battle strength was strong, but there was still a gap between him and a lower-level martial king. Thus, they were not worried. Are you done talking nonsense? If you're done, you can die now. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his mouth. What? The 6 youths from the Sheng family were slightly stunned. Boom. Lu Ming's cultivation erupted as a huge spear light swept out. The spear light swept out in all directions. Not good. The 6 youths' faces changed drastically. The lower-level martial king in the lead unleashed a terrifying aura as he slashed out with his lower-level One Earth concept. The other 5 youths also unleashed their full strength. This was because they felt danger from Lu Ming's spear. Boom, boom, boom. After 6 consecutive booms, the 5 youths from the Sheng family were pushed back like cannonballs. Even Sheng Chang's body trembled as he took 9 steps back in the air before he could stop. How is this possible? with your battle strength. Sheng Chang's eyes were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming could push him back with one spear strike. How was this possible? He was a lower-level martial king. Lower-level martial king is just SOSO. Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly as he took a step forward. With this step, Lu Ming's figure suddenly disappeared. He did not attack Sheng Chang, but the other 5 youths. Not good. Retreat, you guys retreat. Sheng Chang's face changed drastically as he roared and chased after Lu Ming at the same time. Whoosh, whoosh. However, Lu Ming's speed was too fast. In an instant, he appeared in front of 2 third-level martial king youths. 2 extremely sharp spear lights pierced towards the 2 youths. Ah, ah. The 2 youths screamed in horror as they tried to use all their strength to block the attack. However, now that Lu Ming had reached the 3rd-level martial king realm, how could they block him? The gap was too big. Puff, puff. 2 spear lights pierced through the 2 youths' throats. Blood gushed out of the 2 youths, and they died immediately. Devouring power burst out and devoured the blood essence of the 2 youths. At the same time, Lu Ming's true ether swept their storage rings into the Temple of Paragon. Then his body flashed as he charged towards the remaining 3 youths. The 3 youths were terrified and ran for their lives. However, Lu Ming's 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps was too fast for them to escape. After 3 consecutive screams, the remaining 3 youths from the Sheng family were all killed by Lu Ming. Of course, Lu Ming would not let go of the storage rings and blood essence. Damn it, damn it. You actually dared to kill the hero of the Sheng family. Lu Ming, no one can save you from heaven or earth. Sheng Chang watched helplessly as the 5 Sheng family youths were killed. He screamed hysterically, "Now it's your turn." Lu Ming looked at Sheng Chang. "Haha, you still want to kill me? I admit that your combat strength is indeed powerful and has surpassed mine, but only by a little. If I want to leave, you can't stop me. Lu Ming, wait for the revenge of the Sheng family." Sheng Chang let out a sinister laugh. His body then flashed, intending to retreat. Die. Extreme Dao blow. Lu Ming's body swayed like a dragon. He and the spear became one and turned into a shocking blow. This blow pierced through the void and appeared in front of Sheng Chang in an instant. Sheng Chang's pupils contracted sharply. He felt a fatal threat from Lu Ming's blow. "Block it, block it!" Sheng Chang roared in his heart. His 1st-level initial earth essence was activated to the extreme. The earth spiritual power between heaven and earth gathered madly, forming stone tablets in front of him. In an instant, Sheng Chang set up 99 stone tablets. The concept of earth was most adept at defense. But bang, bang, bang. These stone tablets, under Lu Ming's spear radiance, were like paper. In an instant, 99 explosions sounded and 99 stone tablets were pierced through, leaving a hole in the front and back. Puff. Chapter 5:25. Sheng Chang's eyes widened like a dead fish, filled with disbelief. He had never expected that the defense that he was most proud of would be so weak and vulnerable in the face of Lu Ming's attack. Whoosh. Su Mo withdrew his spear and Sheng Chang died. "Since you want to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed by me," Lu Ming murmured. After devouring Sheng Chang's essence blood and taking the storage ring, Lu Ming left the place. After a while, Lu Ming appeared tens of thousands of miles away and entered the Temple of Paragon. He sat down cross-legged and started to refine the essence blood. During this period, Lu Ming had used all the essence blood he had devoured to improve the 9 dragons' bloodline. This was because given Lu Ming's current cultivation level, the blood essence of martial artists whose cultivation level was lower or similar to his would not be of much help to him in increasing his cultivation level. He might as well try his best to increase his bloodline level. The essence blood he had refined was also used to improve his bloodline. The Nine Dragons bloodline was suspended above Lu Ming's head. There was a sanguine glow on its meandering body. The 6 silver chakras were shining brightly. Half an hour later, the power of the blood essence had been completely refined. Unfortunately, the Nine Dragons bloodline was still at LV6 King Realm. Almost there. I feel like I'm almost there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He felt that the Nine Dragons bloodline was so close to being upgraded. Let's see how many spiritual crystals I have. Then Lu Ming took out the storage rings of Sheng Chang and the other young men from the Sheng family and put all the supreme spiritual crystals together. 180,000 spiritual crystals. There were 180,000 supreme spiritual crystals in the storage rings of the 6 young men from the Sheng family. Great. Continue to improve my cultivation. Then Lu Ming started to refine the supreme spiritual crystals to improve his cultivation. After reaching LV3 Martial King Realm, he needed more energy to improve his cultivation. Lu Ming refined 80,000 supreme spiritual crystals to improve his cultivation from early LV3 Martial King Realm to middle LV3 Martial King Realm. He refined another 80,000 supreme spiritual crystals to late LV3 Martial King Realm. He only had 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals left. Sacred Clan, continue. After that, Lu Ming left the Supreme Divine Palace and flew in the sky, planning to continue hunting the people of the Sheng family. Since the Sheng family was hunting him, he would hunt them back. 2 hours later, in a mountain forest, 5 sacred clan youths were killed by Lu Ming. One of them was a late-stage martial king, LV4 Martial King Realm Warrior. This time, Lu Ming got 150,000 pieces of top-grade equipment. After finding a place, Lu Ming continued to refine the top-grade spirit crystals. Not long after Lu Ming left, a dozen figures appeared in the air above the forest. It was Sheng Yu and the others. At this moment, Sheng Yu's eyes were incomparably cold. The dense, murderous intent had almost materialized. Damn it, could it be that Lu Ming, that little bastard, did it? Damn it. A cold voice came from Sheng Yu's mouth. No matter who did it, they must die. Now call a group of people to act as bait and lure them out. You guys follow me and lie in ambush. Sheng Yu immediately gave the order. Then, the group of people scattered and disappeared into the sky. At this moment, Lu Ming was trying his best to refine the top-grade spirit crystals. Not long after, another 80,000 pieces of top-grade spirit crystals were refined. Lu Ming's cultivation broke through to the peak of LV3 Martial King Realm. Then, Lu Ming refined the remaining 70,000 pieces of top-grade spirit crystals and raised his cultivation to the peak of LV3 Martial King Realm. Next, he would be able to break through to LV4 Martial King Realm. Once he reached LV4 Martial King Realm, he would be a Lower King Realm warrior. However, if he wanted to break through to Lower King Realm, he had no idea how many top-grade spirit crystals he would need. Sacred Clan, you will be responsible for all the top-grade spirit crystals I need. Lu Ming sneered. Then he left the Supreme Divine Palace and flew in the sky to look for the Sacred Clan. Half an hour later, the Sacred Clan. Lu Ming looked ahead. In front of him, 5 youths of the Sacred Clan were flying in the sky. Lu Ming, that's Lu Ming. Surround him. Don't let him escape. The 5 youths of the Sacred Clan surrounded Lu Ming. The leader of the group was Sheng Jiang, Lu Ming's acquaintance. Lu Ming, let's see where you can run to now. Sheng Jiang's face darkened. Run? Why should I run? Why should I run when you're giving me spiritual crystals? Lu Ming said with a faint smile. What do you mean? Sheng Jiang's eyes turned cold and murderous. He shouted, "Were you the one who killed those two groups of people?" Lu Ming smiled, but did not say a word. It was a silent admission. "Damn it, Lu Ming, you must have eaten a dragon's gallbladder to kill so many of the Sacred Clan's elites. Let me tell you, no one can save you. Even the palace master will kill you." Sheng Jiang roared in shock and anger. "Humph, the Sacred Clan wants to kill me. Can I fight back and wait for you to kill me? What a joke. If I kill all of you, who will know it's me?" Lu Ming harumphed as his eyes flickered with murderous intent. "Lu Ming, who can you kill?" At that moment, a furious roar could be heard in the sky. In the clouds high up in the sky, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out, and 12 figures appeared. The one leading them was Sheng Yu. Beside him was a lesser king, a peak 4th-layer martial emperor. Behind them were Sheng Kong, Sheng Wei, and Sheng Feng. They were scattered in all directions, blocking Lu Ming's escape routes. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly as he said, "So you're trying to lure me out? It's too late now. I won't let you escape this time." Sheng Yu's eyes were filled with murderous intent as a terrifying aura spread out from his body. 5th-layer martial emperor realm. Lu Ming's expression turned serious. There was a small gap between the 3rd-layer martial emperor realm and the 4th-layer martial emperor realm. Although there was only a 1-layer difference in cultivation, there was at least a 2-layer difference in battle strength. The peak of the 5th-layer martial emperor realm was undoubtedly more powerful. Lu Ming was definitely no match for him. "You guys set up a formation to prevent him from escaping. I'll kill him. You're courting death." Sheng Yu had just given the order, but before he could finish, he roared. This was because Lu Ming had suddenly attacked. Whoosh, whoosh. A dozen spear lights pierced through the air and pierced toward the Sacred Clan's young men. With Lu Ming's cultivation at the peak of the 3rd-layer martial emperor realm, his attacks were fierce. Those below the lesser martial emperor realm had no way to block them. Even if the Sacred Clan's young men were prepared to defend themselves, it was still not enough. Puff, puff, blood splattered everywhere as screams rang out. In an instant, 10 Sacred Clan's young men were pierced through by the spear lights and fell to the ground. Sheng Feng and Sheng Wei were among them. On the other hand, Sheng Kong, who had been standing at the back due to his weak cultivation, had managed to escape. But now his face was pale and his body was trembling nonstop. Seeing 10 Sacred Clan's young men who were stronger than him being killed, Sheng Kong was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He frantically retreated. "Ah, damn it, die. Sheng Yu let out a hysterical roar as a terrifying aura burst out from his body. A crystal-clear saber light slashed toward Lu Ming. Clang! Lu Ming blocked with his long spear, but his body was shaken by the saber light. Kill! Sheng Yu's saber light gained the upper hand. The saber light behind him swept toward Lu Ming like a storm, completely drowning Lu Ming. Chapter 5:26. True Dragon Strike. Lu Ming lashed out with his spear, summoning a 3-color dragon, but it was instantly shattered by Sheng Yu's saber glow. Sheng Yu was a genius to begin with, and his strength of the 5th-layer martial emperor realm was 3 layers higher than the 3rd-layer martial emperor realm. Lu Ming had no chance of winning against him. Kill! Sheng Jiang and another expert at the peak of the 4th level of the martial king realm surrounded Lu Ming. Both of them were peak 4th-layer martial emperor realm geniuses. Their strength was extremely terrifying when they unleashed their full strength, posing a deadly threat to Lu Ming. With the 3 teaming up, Lu Ming was completely overwhelmed by the storm-like attacks. 9 Dragons Bloodline, Devour, 2nd Bloodline, Erupt. Lu Ming went all out, executing all his moves. Roar. The Nine Dragons bloodline uttered a roar as its devouring force exploded, causing Shengyu and the others to be startled, as they could feel the force of their blood becoming unstable. As a result, their strength was slightly weakened. Otherwise, Lu Ming would not be able to resist their attacks. What should I do? I can't let this go on. Lu Ming's mind was racing. At that moment, if Lu Ming were to execute his extreme attack, he would have the confidence to kill one of the two fourth-layer martial Emperor Realm experts. However, the extreme attack would require him to unleash most of his strength, resulting in a brief moment of weakness. It might only last for a few breaths' time, but it would still be fatal. A person like Shengyu would not let go of any chance to kill him. On the other hand, if Lu Ming were to execute his extreme attack, he would not have the confidence to kill Shengyu. After all, the difference between their strength was too great. Die, Lu Ming, die! Sheng Kong let out a roar with a satisfied expression. Even if he was a genius, he would still die after offending the sacred clan. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming tried his best to resist the attacks. His body shuddered violently as his qi and blood became restless. In a moment of carelessness, he was slashed on his back, causing blood to flow out. Dandan, smash! Lu Ming suddenly slapped Dandan. Whoosh! The Dandan shone brightly and rapidly grew in size. It flew towards the sacred jade and smashed head-on. Shengyu's complexion changed drastically. He waved his hand, and a big net appeared out of thin air. It shone brightly and covered the sky as it moved towards Dandan. Obviously, Dandan didn't expect the other party to suddenly throw out such a large net. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. He was directly caught in the net. Dandan rushed here and there, but for a moment he couldn't get out. Lu Ming's expression changed. He didn't expect the other party to take out such a large net, and Dandan happened to be restrained by this kind of net. Dandan wasn't afraid of anything that was energy, but if it was something substantial, Dandan wouldn't be able to rush through it. Ha! Let's see what other tricks you have. Die! Shengyu laughed wildly. In fact, he was extremely shocked in his heart. Lu Ming was actually able to withstand so many moves under the siege of the three of them. It was simply inconceivable. The one who was most shocked was Sheng Jiang. Previously, when Lu Ming had just arrived in Tianxian City, he had attacked Lu Ming. At that time, although Lu Ming wasn't weak, compared to him, there was still a big gap. But now, Lu Ming's combat strength had already surpassed him. How was this possible? How long had it been? This was too terrifying. Kill! I must kill this little bastard, this monster. Sheng Jiang roared in his heart, and his attacks became more violent. Puff! Lu Ming's chest was hit by a palm, and blood spurted out. Want to kill me? Dream on! Lu Ming roared, and his eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Buzz! Lu Ming's long spear shook, and all of his strength rushed towards the long spear. His body twisted, and his spine was like a dragon driving the long spear, turning into a spear light that pierced towards Sheng Jiang. Extreme Dao Strike. Now he could only go all out. Whoosh! Extreme Dao Strike pierced through everything. Sheng Jiang instantly felt cold all over, and his hair stood on end, as if the god of death was approaching him. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Sheng Jiang roared and retreated desperately. He knew that if he didn't retreat, he would die. But in the next moment, he found that retreating was useless because Lu Ming's spear light was too fast, and it caught up with him in an instant. No! Sheng Jiang roared crazily, and his eyes were about to bleed. But in the next moment, Pucci, the peerlessly sharp spear light pierced through the space between his eyebrows. Sheng Jiang was dead, but at this moment, Lu Ming, because of using the extreme Dao strike, had extracted a large amount of true yuan, and his body felt weak. Although Lu Ming could quickly recover a part of his true yuan, it was too late. Die, die, die. Sheng Yu attacked Lu Ming as if she had gone mad. The terrifying blade light seemed to be able to split everything. Block it. Lu Ming's eyes widened. He gathered his remaining true yuan and combined it with the will of the heavens and earth to form layers of defense in front of him. At the same time, the devouring force of the 9 dragons' bloodline spread out in front of him. Bang! In the next moment, Lu Ming was still sent flying, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. A deep wound appeared on his chest, so deep that his bones were visible. Lu Ming's heart had almost been split open. The terrifying blade light madly penetrated Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming frantically executed the true skill of the battle dragon to resist it with his true yuan, but in the end, Lu Ming spat out mouthfuls of blood continuously, and his face turned pale. He had suffered a serious injury from the previous attack. Lu Ming, I'm going to skin you alive and pull out your tendons. Sheng Yu roared. The other young man with a cultivation of the peak 4th layer martial emperor realm turned pale, and fear flashed across his face. If the spear had been aimed at him, he would have been the one to die. At the thought of this, he felt a lingering fear. Ha! Bastards of the Sheng family, it's not that easy to kill me. Come on, I'll kill you next. Lu Ming laughed and pointed his long spear at the other young man with a cultivation of the peak 4th layer martial emperor realm. This made his face turn even paler, and his body involuntarily took 2 steps back. Not far away, there were 4 other young men of the Sheng family. At this time, their faces were also pale, and they looked at Lu Ming in fear. Lu Ming's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. This time, the Sheng family was in a miserable state. When they entered the scaled demon plane, there were a total of 28 people, all of whom were geniuses and elites of the Sheng family. They had spent countless resources to cultivate them, but now only 6 of them were left. It was too miserable. Even if they could kill Lu Ming, they would suffer a great loss. If the higher-ups of the Sheng family knew about this, they would all be punished. No wonder Sheng Yu was furious. Little bastard, you can't kill any of us. Sky-breaking saber art. Sheng Yu roared, and his body emitted a terrifying saber light. At the same time, his body shriveled, as if all his essence, blood, and qi had been sucked away. As his body shriveled, the saber light on his body became even more terrifying, as if it could break the sky. His aura was twice as strong as before. Secret skill. What a powerful secret skill. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that Sheng Yu was using a secret skill. Chapter 5:27. Retreat, retreat. Lu Ming frantically retreated. He felt a fatal crisis. At this moment, with his injured body, even if he used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, it would be impossible. He was afraid that if Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, the terrifying pressure between heaven and earth would crush his heart. That was because the wound was so deep that his heart was almost exposed. He could only retreat. Kill! Sheng Yu roared. He and his saber seemed to have become one, turning into a terrifying saber light that pierced through the layers of the void, appearing in front of Lu Ming and chopping down on Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming blocked with his spear. Clang! The demon-suppressing spear started to vibrate rapidly. Lu Ming could feel a terrifying force hitting the demon-suppressing spear, causing it to vibrate rapidly. The terrifying force caused Lu Ming's arms to go numb. He actually couldn't hold onto the demon-suppressing spear. Whoosh! The demon-banishing spear was sent flying. Sheng Yu's saber light continued to chop down on Lu Ming's head. Block! Lu Ming roared. His eyes were bloodshot as he erupted his strength to the extreme. His left hand contained the devouring power of the 9 dragons bloodline, and his right hand contained the power of the 2nd bloodline. At the same time, the 3 intents merged into his hands. Bang! Lu Ming clasped his hands together and clamped Sheng Yu's saber. Boom! The terrifying force made Lu Ming fall directly to the ground. Boom! Lu Ming stepped on the ground, and the earth let out a violent roar. The ground was like a ripple violently shaking. Within a radius of 5 miles, it was swept away by a storm of energy and flattened. Lu Ming's hand was still clamping down on Sheng Yu's saber. Die! Sheng Yu roared. The saber light surged, and the saber carried a terrifying force as it chopped down on Lu Ming. Sizzle! Lu Ming's hands clamped down on the saber, and there were sizzling sounds and sparks. Unfortunately, he couldn't clamp down on it, and the saber was still chopping down on Lu Ming's head. Am I going to die here? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. No, I cannot die. Lu Ming roared in his heart. At this moment, rays of light suddenly shone from between Lu Ming's eyebrows, and there were also traces of lightning swimming around. This is the lightning cauldron. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Ever since Lu Ming obtained the lightning cauldron, it had been lying dormant in his sea of consciousness without any movement. Now, as Lu Ming faced a life or death situation, the thunder cauldron finally moved. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to be able to communicate with the thunder furnace. A wisp of his mind seemed to be connected with the thunder furnace. He could control the thunder furnace at any time to launch a fatal strike. Kill! Without any hesitation, Lu Ming controlled the thunder cauldron and blasted it out. Wong! In his sea of consciousness, the thunder cauldron let out a sound as if it was the beginning of the world. Then it flew out. At the same time, a terrifying suction force erupted from the thunder cauldron. At this moment, Lu Ming's true yuan and essence qi were all absorbed by the thunder cauldron. In addition to true yuan and essence qi, Lu Ming even felt that a part of his life essence qi had been absorbed by the thunder cauldron. Life essence qi represented lifespan. In other words, Lu Ming's lifespan had been absorbed by the thunder cauldron. Boom! After absorbing Lu Ming's true yuan, essence qi, and life essence qi, the thunder cauldron flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows. Clang! Sheng Yu's battle saber was directly turned into ashes by the thunder cauldron. Sheng Yu's body shook violently, and blood spurted out of his mouth as he was sent flying thousands of meters away. Wong! The thunder cauldron flew into the sky and became as big as a mountain. Thunder rumbled like the might of the heavens. Then the thunder cauldron pressed down, and endless lightning enveloped all the sacred family disciples present. Run, run, run! Sheng Yu roared as he desperately tried to escape. Run, run! Sheng Kong and the others did the same as they desperately tried to escape. At this moment, their hearts were filled with fear. They never dreamed that such a terrifying thunder cauldron would suddenly appear in Lu Ming's body. They felt that they were ants in front of this thunder cauldron. No, they weren't even ants. They were dust. They were incomparably tiny. At this moment, they were extremely frightened. There was only one thought in their minds, and that was to escape. In the next moment, the thunder cauldron pressed down, and thick lightning bolts swam freely. Whoosh! After a breath, the thunder cauldron shrank rapidly and flew back to between Lu Ming's eyebrows, disappearing. At this moment, Lu Ming felt extremely weak. His body was empty, and there wasn't even a trace of true yuan. He had lost a lot of his essence qi, and his body was extremely weak. He couldn't even fly, and he collapsed to the ground. This thunder cauldron is too terrifying. Not only does it absorb true yuan and ordinary essence qi, but it also absorbs life essence qi. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. King Realm cultivators had a lifespan of 1,000 years, but Lu Ming felt that he had lost 50 years of his lifespan. 50 years of his lifespan was too great a loss. A strand of my consciousness seems to be able to connect with the Thunder Cauldron. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He realized that a strand of his consciousness could connect with the Thunder Cauldron. In other words, as long as Lu Ming wanted to, he could control the Thunder Cauldron and launch an attack. But in the next moment, Lu Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. Controlling the Thunder Cauldron to attack? What a joke! Not to mention that one attack from the Thunder Cauldron could suck out all of his true yuan and essence qi. He would be completely weak, and he would be at the mercy of others. Also, losing 50 years of his lifespan at once, even if Lu Ming was a King Realm cultivator, he wouldn't be able to use it many times before his lifespan ran out and he died. This Thunder Cauldron can't be used unless it's absolutely necessary. However, it can be considered as one more life-saving method. Lu Ming thought to himself, Shua. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out, and Dandan flew back. Dandan was indeed magical. Just now, he was also covered by the Thunder Cauldron, but he was completely fine. Dandan, bring me to see if the people of the Sheng clan are dead. Lu Ming said. At this moment, he was so weak that he couldn't even walk. Dandan's body emitted a faint light, and it trembled slightly. Then, it rapidly grew to the size of a water tank. Lu Ming lay on top of Dandan, and Dandan flew around with Lu Ming. Within a 10-mile radius, it was a mess. There were traces of being struck by lightning everywhere. On the messy ground, there were corpses lying on the ground. It seemed that the remaining youths of the Sheng clan were all killed by the Thunder Cauldron. In one place, Lu Ming saw Sheng Kong's corpse. Lu Ming suddenly saw a figure crawling forward at the edge of the area covered by the lightning. This figure was in tatters, and his hair was all cut off by the lightning. However, Lu Ming could still tell at a glance that it was Sheng Yu. When the Thunder Cauldron flew out from Lu Ming's forehead, Sheng Yu was sent flying a few thousand meters away. Then, he fled frantically and almost escaped the area covered by the Thunder Cauldron.